thing, tune, pod, whatever. But here goes nothing. Fuck it. What's good, everyone? What's good, everybody listening? What's good, everybody? We're gonna call this self-interview, a cappella talking dub, autobiopod, kind of like when R. Kelly, poor choice of artist name, but when he sang his life back in 2016, that was low-key the inspiration behind all of this. I was in two minds about doing this because I'm at a place where fame and notoriety aside, because I've had both. As a person nowadays, versus 10 years ago when I was younger, I'm no longer such a fan basically of being the center of attention. It's just not my thing anymore. But a lot of things regarding what I am about, what I stand for as a person, have gone on misconstrued for far too long. And I've been on the receiving end of it, and I'm done going through bullshit because of people. So, I've lived an interesting life from age 12. I've lived many lives. I'm 30 now, a big whooping 3-0, but the years have been good to me. So, 30 years young and doing it well. But 30 and thinking about having my own child, thinking about buying houses, um, doing a lot of things that I couldn't afford to do 10 years ago in my teens, etc. Typical work hard, play hard character, but getting a bit more serious about life in the last decade. Fortunate enough to still be pursuing childhood passions, some of which I've made money from, not millions, but money regardless. Kind of planning to do what I was doing before, but bigger and better with more experience and as a much better person too. I'm around better people and mentored by better people. God bless you to the few people from uni. I'm not too concerned with secondary school idiots, but definitely the people from uni who had not heard from me in years, but were still concerned for my well-being. I definitely don't miss the pathetic ACS days. How are you gonna ask for me and I don't even know or care that you exist anyway? Don't really want to waste too much of my energy talking about the pathetic people inside the ACS community. Good luck to them wherever these knobs are in life, like whoever is still delusional enough to still fantasize about me not doing well in life because they don't like me. That's really how a lot of but school and uni, that's how a lot of these divs operate. You don't like it, so you have to fail. Whatever works. All the self-hating, self-loathing, blackish bounty lord, them man that done ACS initially to try and stunt on the London black people. Them man that never grew up around black people who don't hate black people and try to play all these dumb games that their non-black bullies, their oppressors played on them in their hometowns, thinking we're the same. Um, Acting like you're superior. The good thing is, I hope, well, definitely around that time, a lot of the blackish youth came out that uni, learning to love themselves more, loving their blackness more. I don't know how for how long it lasted, and whether or not that's still the case now. Who knows? But yeah, good luck to them. Anyway, the bleachers, the Gallat teams that changed their African surnames, etc., etc. I see you all. Remember, people still talk to me and tell me things. Remember, London, North London especially, is extremely small, and I know everyone tells me everything. The blackish Oreo man, the blackish Oreo man, you can stay in your corner, but please stop hating on black people. Some of you were darker than me hating on me. That's insane. Um, we're gonna do this interview. I'm gonna say my piece and done tip. I got a few things to say for the sake of time reference and how people remembered me back then versus now. As a natural evolver, I'm changing every single day, but there's still I remember what I was like back in the day. So I'm gonna do this interview as Cayman K. I guess not really Carl, which is more the dancer, or Teo, the newest version of what I've evolved to from now to 30 more years, perhaps, who knows. Teo is one of my middle names. I've always figured, what's the point of having two middle names and never using them? I rebirthed as Teo Romeo, the love artist. I hate terms like guru and coach about a year ago when I just felt it. I go with a feeling with anything creative, but for now we can go back to Cayman shortly, what most music fan base and grime fan base will know me for. So, CAYMA to the L, a one of a kind individual truly, lived life through his childhood dreams, lives life through childlike lenses, but still very grounded in reality and knows what's up in the world around him. North London raised, French born, half French raised too. I guess me and my mum did have that discussion even a couple of years ago where we both agree that like no matter how long we've lived in the UK, we're still both very French. Created the buzz for myself from a young age, taking every single one of my passions seriously, more seriously than I should have, or should I say was expected of me. Um, Investing time and money to the point where I've not made a Grammy instrumental in a little while, or even made music. I got back into writing lyrics properly like 2002 times, and people from my adolescence would still message me saying, "Oh yeah, I remember you. I remember your old stuff. You made a beat for me to spit on. You're hard. You got mad potential if you still want to do this decade round type stuff." Uh, Music naturally, as a result, felt like the first route to take. I've seen people around me do it. I was mainly making grime music at the time. Then uni happened, and the uni that I went to showed me a lot more positivity and open-mindedness that I had ever grown up witnessing. And then it was like, okay, I didn't really want to do this, but I could see this. Ultimately, the goal is to change my life completely, and it's looking negative for me at the moment. So let's try this out. I would say, yeah, what I always saw as success for myself was evolving into the most powerful version of me, being respected and loved by those around me, impacting those around me, understanding myself more, understanding life more, and meeting most, if not all, of my favorite childhood idols, all famous people. I had this obsession with being famous. I had this obsession with being like, when I was 8, I wanted to be like a child star, just gassed off Bow Wow, Romeo, because I'm from that era. Really, I'm 95, so in between millennials and Gen Z, but I grew up on the old school stuff more, you know? So me embarking into all of my passions has always felt like I'm doing this half to look back and be like, it's like I'm half spectator, half performer, half fan, half musician. I almost did it to see it from both perspectives. What it feels like to be on the come up to a fulfilling career, that kind of stuff. My first visual freestyle with Shaman from the South on his OSM Vision channel that got deleted. That was my first time trekking from North London to South London on my own with my own money at 17, just feeling like I'm doing something serious for myself. By 2013, 2014, 2015 even, I was known as Cayman K, had a buzz, had releases out, 3 releases out, had people on Twitter saying I'm one of the hardest producers on the come up, had freestyles out, people knew me in other areas, etc. The shit that you kind of half get gassed about as a 16, 17-year-old, half don't really take in because you're in the midst of it, if you get what I mean. Surrounded by other teenage go-getters too, just naturally had friends on a similar mission to me, which I think is crazy. And that was the funny thing about it as well. We were actually out here doing it, making moves. People in our secondary school that were bantering us weren't doing shit, but we were doing it and it was working on us until I guess for some of us, life happened and we decided to stop. But to the average secondary school user troll, all they could do was laugh, but they couldn't say we weren't like it was working. So whatever, banter away. All people like that have ever had it for me is chat. All they all have is verbal. That's dead. But yeah, Cayman K, aka Lefty Productions. My thing at the time was I wanted to be. I saw myself being successful commercially with instrumentals, but loved grime so much I wanted to be a set MC. At the time, I felt that I hadn't really gone through enough in life yet to have things to rap about, but knew that I was good enough to MC. I had a multi-syllabic style that was a bit different from everyone else around me because I really went out of my way to study everybody can sound different. So it was like Lefty Pro, fame wise, came in MC Underground. I just wanted to be like one of the best or as good as the set MCs I'd watch on YouTube. My tenacious DIY mindset and self belief played a crucial part in my progression because, in all honesty, most people around me were not interested in helping me move forward until they saw the results. So I was always one of those people who had to show that I'm more than capable first, because upon first glance, nobody thought anything of me. Even today, most people figure why him, like I'm a waste of their time type of thing until they see next man clock on, until they see that other people care. To date, to be honest, people still underestimate me, but I'm used to it. I know how to maneuver around that now. Childhood passions aside, I believe that the best next step for me, which I wouldn't have been fond of 15 years ago, which my mum would probably laugh about now. I want to get back into education. I'm just saying this as the least academic family member in my little circle. I was always more creative than academic school wise. Um, like I did well in the few subjects that I cared about and took seriously, but just yeah, because I'm inspired by so many of my own family members that excelled school wise. I would like to play my part in the best way that I can. Languages, I would say, was really my thing from young. I have 10 plus years of translating experience. Recently transitioned to more interpreting. There are definitely other skills that I'm rehoning again. I've been a model, quote unquote, since 19 years old. From when I asked around through uni networking, like, how do I get into this stuff like that and take it more seriously, and decided why not add another cool thing to the list of my childhood experiences. A lot of people around me, I was lucky enough to have people around me show me how I can live a fun life and make money like from certain things. My discretion now versus in the past, and not being the center of attention, or me trying to like move more in silence now and doing things more behind the scenes now will have people thinking I've not done anything in years. But no, I'm still out here, just less bait, as I like it, using whatever God-given talents and skills I have to live a good life, and that's the plan through the dancing, languages, music, and dating brands that I've kept alive for 18 years, almost 20 years. Crazy. You look back at me dancing in my bedroom when I'm 13 on YouTube to now, and you see the progression. It's a matter to see how far I've come. Carl Nagando, Carl Wilteo. Been Carl Nagando, Carl Wilteo, the dancer since 2009. Lefty Productions, because I don't really want to talk too much about dancing. I want to talk more about the music. Since 2009. The Lefty Prod started from a typical YouTube flash videos channel to music. Then, yeah, Cayman since 2010. Around 2011, I have a typical hood story of like everyone on the estate had a lyric or spat bars around 2011 times. Gas Gang and Steve Bow, Grey Gang, Johnny Guns times. Everyone jumped on rap. I was making beats from 2008 to 2011, so I tried it out for myself too. When I started making a name for myself rapping, but I kept it grime because that was all I cared about. Um, Along around that times, or 2 years later, me and my childhood friends from the ends tried to form like a younger Euro clique as block kids from the estate, kind of like to succeed Mega Man Mayhem from the SAS, who lived 2 floors down from me, kind of thing. Didn't really last long. We all went on to have completely different lives, literally a year later. So yeah, tried and failed. Born Carl William Teo Nagando, French born, born in Paris, a place called Ivry-sur-Seine, which I think is South Paris, in the 30th district, because they don't have boroughs over there. I don't know what hospital I was born in. I know that I was born on a Saturday, and I know that I was born at 6 p.m. Lived in Paris for 8 years, did my 2 years of primary school in France. Then we moved to London like a month before the equivalent to year 3 would have started for me. Went to Richard Cobden Primary School in Camden, which I think isn't too far away from Coco now. Lived on Castle Haven Road, didn't last too long. My brother was already getting into fighting. I was already feeling like I'm struggling to fit in. So from Camden to East Finchley then. I think if I remember well, my parents chose between a house in Whetstone or a flat in East Finchley and decided East Finchley. Figured that at least it's a cleaner area and, you know, safer from before. So yeah, 8-year-old me, oblivious to the reasons why we moved, oblivious to life, what's around me, how people see me or would see me, just doing school as this new French kid in Northwest London, learning English with Spot the Dog and Disney cassette tapes. Raised in a typical Christian African household, Though I would say my mum is a lot more open-minded, albeit strict, than most African mothers that I've come across. And I guess that's where that I'm still more French than anything else it comes from. Um, Growing up, I was raised well, always polite, mannerful, respectful, but kind of felt free to do whatever I like. Even though the way I was parented could be considered strict, I ended up doing everything I wanted to do anyway. Never did a power league. Got invited to one power league for a friend's 10th birthday my entire life. Wanted to play basketball as a first childhood dream when I was like, 10, 11. Gassed off Michael Jordan, Allen Iverson, and LeBron James later on. And that, like Mike movie, and the fact that my own mum was a female baller in her younger years. Kind of just living life as a normal kid at this point. No dreams of being famous yet. Haven't decided who or what I want to be in life yet. Did love dancing, but didn't care about it much those times. I'd say 10 years old was when the dancing brand started for me. Like when it came, when it became my identity. When it was like, I'm watching movie after movie. I'm YouTubing 13-year-old breakdancers to see kids that I can relate to, that make me feel like I can do it. My obsession for starting young started from then, kind of in between. Around them times, I'm kind of in between London and Paris a lot. I remember during those times we would visit France and Cameroon sometimes, but France more frequently for family events and whatnot. Living on Prospect Ring. My brother had friends that lived on the Grange estate on Oak Lane in East Finchley. My best friend at the time lived on the block opposite mine. We were minutes away from our primary school. Then what? Church in North Finchley on a Sunday. But yeah, for the most part, it was very blissfully, like I said, blissfully ignorant times for me at that time. What did I used to do as a kid? I used to love video games to the point where my parents had to ban me from playing video games when the greens went up. Same went for TV. My dad bought me an electric drum kit because he knew I loved to play the drums. Before we moved, I used to play the yobo at 6 years old at this conservatory in Paris that we had to go to on Wednesdays. Moving to England, I didn't pick it up again in primary school. I picked it up again in secondary from year 7 or 8 to year 11. Used to hate reading books as a kid. Loved comics, hated reading books. Was forced to read books and write reports at home. Shout out to my mum. Loved learning, but feared school, and more importantly, feared failure because of how strict and somewhat impatient my parents were when it came to things that children didn't immediately understand. I was definitely a dreamer. I was a weirdo. I was also cool. I was kind. I was just a typical fun-loving character. Polite as a kid. Loved people. Loved the internet. Loved internet humor. Internet references. Would spend my weekends binge surfing on every single Flash video game site known to man. Your Newgrounds, your Games Gecko, this French one called Gamers or something like that. Was banned in my household, banned from watching Star Wars, Harry Potter, and Lord of the Rings. Was always on my drum kit, was always dancing. Music-wise, I could sing, but felt that it was too feminine. I was aware enough at like 8, 9 years old that like the way that I thought at that age was, I'm gonna wait until my voice gets deeper so I can sing and not feel embarrassed. I think I wrote my first hook or lyric around 8, 9, 10 years old. My first 8 bars or 16 bars was to the comedian riding dirty tune. I can't remember what was said, but remember having like a Skippy style on the song. No more easy yet, but just Skippy. And I showed it to like 1 or 2 of my primary school friends at the time, and I was dabbling between that and rapping in French. Was in the school orchestra, Before Grime Journey, I was in the school orchestra, and Haringey's School Musicians 2008 to 2011. I played the oboe and drums. My dad was meant to be a double bass teacher for Haringey School Musicians. Like he was in France, but he ended up beefing one of the like people that worked there, like a gardener or some sort of school gatekeeper, someone that worked there or something like that. I quit playing the oboe after a while because I got tired of feeling uncool. And the day I quit at 16 years old was when I decided I'd fully venture into this grime thing, essentially. Producer-wise, beats-wise, that journey happened because of one of my dad's students. As they always did, both my parents, they always had some sort of like workshops over London because they did music where they were teaching kids either the drums, dad, the double bass, dad again, or how to sing mum. So one of my dad's double bass students, essentially, he put us on to like musical softwares like Reason, Logic Pro, Lefty Product. What am I saying? FL Studio, etc., etc., etc. So I got it cracking from there, from then. But yeah, when we were kids as well, me and my brother, my mum took us all over London, mainly South London, to teach. So from a young age, although I wasn't allowed out yet and that, through them, I got to see different sides of London and started to understand London more from quite an early age. I remember my mum even taking us to some event where some of her students even started seeing and doing grime. So for me, I was always interested in this genre long before I knew what the name for it was. Remember, I'm still French card at this point, but yeah, always felt like grime was following me around and slowly going from another music genre that I like to do, that I like, to a music genre and seeing that I can consider myself a part of. So around this time, I'm 10 years old in year 5. When I'm in year 6 now, my brother, who's a year younger than me, plays me some Screwface beats and shows me some young grime MC called Chipmunk, known as Chip now, obviously. He knew more about it than I did at the time. I think the first grime song I had ever heard would have been Lethal Bizzle Kickback or whatever was playing on that FIFA Street game on the PSP. Remember, around this time, more than anything else, I'm a gamer, so I don't that's my only go-to place to hear music. I don't care about socializing. I don't care about girls. I care about like Flash video games, cartoon, and just typical nerdy. I don't know if that can be considered nerdy because I think nerds are like smart but into more sci-fi, Star Trek, whatever. I was smart but video games, fantasy world of cartoon, um, hentai, anime, ecchi, whatever, and I guess Mario and Sonic, that kind of stuff. I started wearing glasses as well during them times, from 10 to 18 years old. So from year 5 when it happened, and I was dreading it because I knew what was coming, straight away it was like, oh, he wears glasses, he's a nerd, you look like a geek. And like from then on, I developed this complex where I always felt as a kid like I'm not gonna get called Four Eyes. I have to show to people that I'm the coolest kid born and type of thing. So from then on, I started plotting as a kid. Like I'm like, oh, I'm good at dancing. That's cool. I'm good at rapping. That's cool. I play basketball. That's cool. And kind of like befriended people in school that would have made me doing secondary school easier in terms of fitting in. When I was 14 now, I was free running with my East Finchley, Muswell Hill, Barnet lot around the area too. So they got to show me a different life and different way of being than like typical block kid shit. Especially because back then, I just wanted people to see me as Carl first and foremost. Why I just acted normal. I wanted to be seen as a normal human, cool black kid, whatever that means. Like my brand for the longest, I was the French black kid in my head in school and to people from ages 8 to 14. I stopped doing it. I got out of it when I decided at 14 that number one, being different isn't cool anymore. And number two, nobody understood me anyway. Like nobody got it. Like to go back to how narrow-minded people were back then, no one got why I was in black and out and acting out in school, or black and not acting a certain way, or like black and not playing up the stereotypes. And me being as impressionable as I was back then, I figured I went through a phase where I felt like people didn't get me. So I created this typical black British alter ego under the name of Cayman for everyone to understand. Because before that, it was like that's French Carl. He's black and he plays the oboe. What the fuck? French Carl, French frog, French poo. And I guess I never really hated myself because of it. But I think it was more like these idiots just don't get it. So let me turn it down for the simple-minded. Damn it. Looking back, I realized that there was a mixture of people jeering and taunting the city kids do, but also people being impressed and liking me. So really and truly, it all depended on what I chose to focus on. More negativity or positivity, like how I felt on the day. Because looking back, I got as much love from people as I did hate. I'm not gonna lie, but it is easier to focus on the hate. What was I like in school? How good was I in school? I mean, always more creative and academic. Like I said, I got really good at things like sprite animation when I did IT, drawing and art, dancing. We had a whole dance studio in school. Music wise, so yeah, very creative from young. Music wise, I was getting better and better at rapping, but I'd say after being heavily influenced, inspired by Westwood freestyles, putting stuff out myself, not just instrumentals, but me actually rapping and getting decent feedback from people, so I knew it was good. My thing that I focused on more was never so much am I good, but more can I move people? Can I impact people? Can I get ratings from people? My grime MC career, oddly enough, started on Facebook Notes. Those of us that didn't have the bottle to pop up on camera yet and rap did it online first. So I clashed people online. I clashed people online first and won. Then from that to, and before that, because again, family around me had made music, I'm used to studios. I'm used to being on a microphone. So I had minor advantages that school friends didn't know about because I kept that side of myself hush hush, quiet for so long type of thing. But like I think the self belief came from people around me did it, and so I know I got this. I just want to make sure that I have the same impact, if not more, and that I thrash everyone. My first grime lyric was typical something something grime, something lemon and lime. My brother rapped on hip hop before me. I figured that could be his thing, and my thing could be grime. Quickly shifted as a result from a short-lived French rap phase to Cayman the Grime MC, where I taught myself multi-syllabic rhyming, micro timing, look it up, and fast flowing. And I guess I knew that I had a talent simply because to me, it's in the blood, innit? I'm just a rerun of two extremely creative parents that did it before me. On another note, I would really love to see more discussions, love to hear more discussions from childhood rappers about their experience with the mental shift that you go through naturally from like expressing your thoughts normally or even struggling to do so, from that to doing it through pen and paper and turning it into a rhyme. There's nothing in this world that can describe that feeling, in my honest opinion. Um, People that inspired me now, the way I decide who's my favorite artist is weird. It's not even how lyrical they are, it's how interesting and original they are to me. So like someone like even Lady Sovereign, in her prime to me, as a grime MC who's completely different from her, she stood out to me and ended up being one of my favorites because of her character. But yeah, my journey as Cayman from 15, 16, 17 was interesting because, especially with like on the outside looking in, because I knew what people were saying about me. Like people trying to figure me out always made me laugh. I'd hear like, who's this Cayman you? Like, is he a nerd? Is he a bad man? Why does he think he's a bad man? His music shit. He's sick. He's ugly. He's cute. fucking Cayman. What the fuck kind of name is Cayman? I swear there's already a rapper called Cayman in East. Change your name. I obviously didn't. Shout outs to it was the guy that did tunes with RV back in the day from Hackney, but that's Cayman, or that was Cayman from East London. I'm Cayman from North London. Why am I changing my name for? That whole period as well, that whole period of 2011 where when everyone was trying to do music in my school, to me was very interesting looking back. I feel like because a couple of factors will say a mixture of the working class kids or the poor kids with the drive to change their lives using either talents or intelligence to climb up the social ladder, and the privileged middle class or upper class kids with huge egos and a savior complex, or who were just bored or didn't know themselves or wanted to show that they were super cool or so cool or whatever, but were in the position status wise to put on whoever they wanted to put on. Some of which were rapping as well or were trying to be artists because they had family members with connections in entertainment already or whatever the case was. So yeah, 2011 was for the hungry bruck opportunists like myself. It was the best time to grab that ladder up and make something of yourself as a youth to look back on like, raw. He put in the work from that young type of thing. Respect. So I was on it from that young type of thing. I was just on it. Respected or not, I was on it. And before that, I was already auditioning for shows like Britain's Got Talent or Got to Dance, dancing wise. So like I didn't give a fuck about. I wasn't scared of putting myself out there. Didn't give a fuck about rejection or hate. I was just on it. I do remember everybody's debate on like my authenticity as a rapper slash grime MC because obviously they couldn't knock talent and they couldn't knock the fact that there were already rappers around me like with like if you want to call it hood fame, then yeah, hood fame. I'm probably though not to say that like the reason I'm doing well in life now obviously isn't because of music. I was not smart enough not to not put all of my eggs in one basket, and I'm glad now versus back then that I was forced to continue education up until uni. But as far as like music career, I've definitely taken it further than anyone else in my area age group. People still know me or remember me for a reason. So I exceeded most people that were on this music thing of my age group. I'm definitely the most famous, which I would say is what I wanted. I wasn't too fussed with money. I just assumed that I'm smart and it would come with, or I'd find a way to make it come with. I can name names of people that were as people that were as talented as me in that era, in the area that I grew up in. You know, Prospect Ring, Marketplace, Grange Estate, not so much Strawberry Vale, that's a part I never really touched, but like as 14, 15, 16, 17 year olds trying to do music, I was doing a lot more and a lot faster than next man. Grime wise, no other teen I would say was taking things as far as me. Radio play like me, EPs out like me. Shout outs from grime heads, grime producers on their come ups like me, etc. Around 15 years old, 16 years old. Uh, but I missed the 2011 era, the beginning of everyone's come up, you know, because my side of entry definitely had a lot of talent back then. We were blessed to be around each other and to be able to bounce ideas off each other. I just think for most men it was a passion thing or a hobby thing, or they just did it because they were good. For me, it was like I could turn my life around and how people see me through this. I had more to prove as a result. Um, Even certain men on street shit that I knew, like again, green sides, I think for them it was just like I got a name on road, and this adds to the lifestyle that I'm living already, so I'm rapping. But for me, it was deeper, and I wasn't involved in anything criminal like that. Not until like after I left uni. But still, oddly enough, people allowed me to talk my talk same way, just on some like you're from the same place that I'm from, you know. As far as people from Prospect to Ring doing well, or like other famous people from my area with come up stories, I'm talking people with a nothing to something evolution. There's like probably those that moved out. Anybody else that I see doing well, it's either uni or I don't know, money saved up or parents, it wouldn't be because of music. People that I see that managed to build a better life for themselves were the ones whose parents moved them out fast enough, or they moved out after college, uni, or whatever. Then they changed their lives. From that primary school near the estate that we all went to, I just remember that some kids, me and my brother, were close friends with. Some naffed off to Essex, some Watford, some Christ College School, some Forest Muswell Hill. Everyone through what the universe, I guess, and parents decided for them had their own destiny, for better or for worse. As far as North London, Barnet to Haringey, again going back to that period, 2011, that would have been the start for most people that you see that bust now, or 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 temporarily or whatever. That would have been the beginning of their journey. So certain man, no names, like I'd be in school doing GCSEs and they're in sixth form coming back from mad distance with black eyes, and I just see them as older kids but from school, but now they're known MCs. Certain man I just knew or found out they were related to MCs. Like I think one of Double S's cousins went to my school. Big up Reese West. He did his sixth form in my school. He was one of them. I'm not too sure why two of my friends that were on music had a problem with him at the time. I didn't get involved in it, obviously. I just, it just was what it was. But I remember him just being in the school, whether he studied there or not, actually, because I don't even know if he studied there. Beginning stages of his career. Frisco's son used to hang around my main childhood friend from ends, Gabriel, aka J Muggs. One of the few people to show me love when I started producing and MCing. Even if he was hesitant at first, I see recently that he Frisco's son, the first, I think his name is, no disrespect, I'm not in that tune with like all the new generation like Graham MC lot. I stopped caring honestly after the Square generation. But yeah, I just saw like that thumbnail of a Link Up TV freestyle with him and Frisco, and remembered his face and remembered who I know that he used to chill with, know whatever. I knew him through Mogs, then made the connection. Yeah, Double S's cousin Chefman went for his moves at one point as well. Trevor Nelson's son Mills was on music. Blessed guy, one of the few people to show me love as a teen until I dissed one of his lot. But we'll talk about that soon enough. Off the top of my head, I'm only focusing on man that you could say either made it or have a name or are known or whatever. Because sick MCs, I could list tons, but they're or rappers, but I could list tons, but they're in some of them, most of them are in the past and they're irrelevant now and no one cares about them. So but yeah, when me and my school friends were trying to do music and going all over North London, collabing, trying to find people to work with, being taken to events and that, it was like we saw the people on the come up who were behind those on their way to making it, if that makes sense. So for example, 2013 times, one of my favorite artists, Maxstar, his life would have changed from music them times. Meanwhile, I'm in first year of college thinking, how the hell am I going to get to where he is 4 years from now? And like this guy called Youngs that went to college with girls from my secondary school, he's in an SBTV video with Maxstar and is either a friend of a friend or his mate or whatever. But he's also performing live at some event in Tottenham doing his thing type of thing. So he's on his come up. A former friend of mine that did music is performing next to him through a girl from my school called Ruby, and then there's another friend called Seth Ayers who raps and who's also performing with him. If I remember well, there was always some sort of like love drama with this girl Ruby. I remember that girl causing a lot of trouble, a lot of problems. Shout outs to her, but she caused a lot of problems with a lot of guys. I knew that either wanted her or went out with her or done a thing with her. I wasn't involved, thankfully, but it's definitely funny looking back. So from my perspective, anyway, it's like I'm seeing this again with me saying I was half performer, half spectator with my music journey, with my musical journey, because it allowed me to connect the dots a lot, and it was so real. Yeah, it was so real as well. It felt like while I was going through it, trying to make sense of it all, being surrounded by people doing their thing and me trying to do my own kind of, it made me feel like the connections are there if I know how to approach people and take things as seriously as I should, and with the talent that I believe that I have, type of thing. From Facebook notes to 2011, I got to discover different parts of Haringey. Haringey, Islington, and Barnet, the three main boroughs of North London that I was roaming around in times, as as a as a as a version of me who wasn't as sociable and more of a homebody, and whose parents wouldn't even allow out them times. But we found ways when we wanted to. We we found a way. I can't tell you too much about anybody, because a lot of people that I went to primary school with, that from my estate, moved out but didn't keep up with anybody enough to tell you like, oh, with that person they went from road life to Lidge, with that person it was uni, etc. I wasn't too in anybody else's business like that to care, unless I knew you personally, or I see you on socials posting your achievements. And I know some people that ended up in prison, some people ended up in hospital wards for mental issues, but that's not for me to talk about. That ain't my place to say. I can tell you about how hard life was for some of us growing up poor in the suburbs. I remember a guy called Kems that literally made a tune called "There's a Ghetto in the Suburbs." Suburbs. That shit was fire, yo. That shit was deep. But obviously, it's East Finchley in it. But back then, it's East Finchley back then, when we were being shouted out in Top Boy, or even Scorchers just as Dappy. So certain people let that get to their heads, you know. Even when even people like Flirta D from SLK were doing freestyles with the either SAS Eurogang lot or Graveyard Fam GYF lot in the park near my primary school. The same park that you see fucking Backroad G hang around in one YouTube video. I grew up like, my side of East Finchley was like nouveau riche, newly rich, or cockney type of people with money that would hang around, or people that moved from more like northwest London, like Cricklewood, Kilburn, or whatever, to the estate parts. Basically, like my family did, because we moved from Camden, so we saw it from that perspective, not the posh Haringey to posh Barnet perspective, like say friends from Muswell Hill who think of East Finchley and think like Forest Green or whatever. I even remember a school friend from the year below coming to my side of East Finchley, thinking, what the fuck? This ain't the flipping Phoenix Cinema or Cherry Tree Woods. It was like, but you would never know, I guess. It was like, until you stepped in, you would never know. You feel me? Never mind the hood dramas people still don't know about. Little kids with fathers ending up in bushes, 20-something-year-old girls flashing me, crackheads on my way back from college. Just the weird, unbelievable things that even I witnessed as a nerdy looking teen Cayman that wasn't even on the road like that. You wouldn't know unless you were there. And with me, I guess crazy shit started happening to me either during music grind, or mid late teens, or mid 2000s, not 2000, mid 20s. Those mainly because of myself though, and who I decided I was going to start affiliating myself with as a typical teenager trying to find himself. I kind of feel like, despite being known by people, I still have, but back then especially, I've always had some sort of like randomness and or mystery and or ghostness to me. You know, people still call me a dark horse today. I'm a bit of a comedian too. It was weird to even put me in a box or a brand, because it always kept changing. Like one minute, so we'll say younger years, people saw me as the French black dancing kid. Then I've switched to Black Brit, North London Cayman. Some people didn't even believe that I was French. I remember a girl, but that's because of her own insecurities and BS and her own lies. Like, I remember this girl called Renee from school that didn't rate herself for being Nigerian, that tried to do the fraud thing, thinking I was doing the fraud thing like her, but it wasn't that. Like, I was literally raised French, and it wasn't like unlike her, I wasn't telling people I'm mixed, or like I wasn't telling people I'm not Cameroonian, but people just didn't understand how I was raised type of thing. But like, unlike you, I never knew the fraud thing to do the fraud thing, you know? It was never one of those, I'm African lying about being Jamaican, like some of you, you know who you are, even though bad people even encouraged it. They encouraged it, me to do it, like telling me, you look like you could be from anywhere. I easily could have been like, while some man full on lied about nationalities or kept it a secret, I was really out there with it type of thing, especially, but I saw it like I'm one of three Cameroonians in the school. So man are gonna come up to me for questions or as the guy that puts his people on type of thing. Like, yeah, like puts his people on the map. Like my brother was the same. But like I growing up as the black French kid, some got it, some didn't. To some people it made me more interesting or stand out. To understand me, what people did was like try to link me in their heads to whatever famous French black person was doing well or was known or famous for something at the time. So I've been called everything from Thierry Henry to Patrick Vieira to one of my parkour friends, Monty, in his head. I was like Sebastian Foucault to him, that guy that did one James Bond movie and the District 19 free runner parkour film. Debatably, in a country that's not so open-minded, because we were all kids, it was a lot easier to get my friends to get it. As youngins, minor racist or ignorant rather comments aside, kids being kids, some people just wanted to get it. Especially when they see that like you quote unquote act differently from other black boys or whatever that hell that means. But I know that with me, and I wasn't the only black French person in my year as well, but I remember that with me, people struggled a lot to get to grips with it, to the point where it pissed them off that whole, that's Carl, he's French, or he's a French immigrant, etc., etc. I used to get bare hate from this black girl, and like, no, I got hate from both. I got hate from white people as well, because they just looked at it like, why do you think you're so special with that dumb oboe of yours? It was crazy, innit? But like, one of the things that subconsciously even made me wanna, at the time, made me put on that whole Cayman persona was because after that, it was like in their eyes, I'm finally full nigga, and I'm just like the rest. So I'm no longer a threat type of thing. It was like in their head, it was like, you're just gonna be a good nigga and be hopefully a good enough nigga to be successful of like entertainment type of thing. I don't need to worry about you. I don't need to worry about you type of thing. I remember when I even went from going ghost on socials and masking it to posting the uni that I went to, and people having a problem with even that. Like. But with that, yeah, wisdom taught me from a very young age. As somebody who is actually smart and doesn't just think he is. Uh, because of experiences like that, I've always had that part of me that's known that sometimes it's best to how do they say it? Lose the battle to win the war. It's best to let people feel like they've won, like to let idiots run with whatever narrative idiots want to run with for a little while. I knew not knowing that much about life yet. I feel like I've always known because I've seen from that young an age. I understood that it's usually the man with the biggest ego that always loses. That's a life lesson that I carry with myself up until now. But I feel like they never managed to make me lose my core individuality, uniqueness, identity. But I did feel the need to shroud it just for a little period. But I was tactical about that, and it worked. The only doubt I'd say people managed to sift into me was that whole, yo, drop this oboe bullshit and be called and and spit. You can't be a rapper and play the oboe. You can't be a black and an oboist. And after I did that, it was like, okay, you're one of us now. We got love for you. But me, just being me, I was always gonna have something about me that stands out without even realizing, like, which goes to show that contrary to popular belief, I wasn't putting anything on. Them not try to force some next shit down my throat that just wouldn't ever work because I just don't see life as narrow-minded as you do, respectfully. What's funny as well with people, yeah, like I remember how like certain people who initially doubted, hated, spewed narrow-mindedness BS at me, they went from that to using me as some sort of like scapegoat ain't the word, but like they used me as an excuse. Like I became a reason for people who wanted to be more open-minded or wanted to be different or feel different or fake different to do the same. Whether they were putting it on or not, or hence entertaining what they thought was me selling dreams, so that they could do the same kind of thing. Everything from encouraging me to lie about my ethnicity to just weird dumbness from, like other kids who aren't fortunate enough to have parents who instill, for lack of a better term, heritage pride in their children from a young age. Like people telling me, "Oh, your hair grows so fast, and you have soft features." People in both school and uni telling me, "Good for you, though. You look like you could be from anywhere." I'd use that. You literally could lie about where you're from. Like, who even thinks like that? That's why would I, and why would you encourage it as an older, no names? That lets me know everything I need to know about you, crazy. Or that whole thing of me not having an African name, quote unquote, just bare ignorance, bare self-loathing, bare self-hatred. Like bare people thought Teo was my last name. Like Teo is my second middle name, named after granddad, which is a variation of the Greek name, which means God. But I guess because of my last name, to people it was like, okay, his mum is French, his dad is Cameroonian. But to be honest, Cameroonians are pretty mixed up. Like one side is basically Nigerian, the next side looks more Congolese. Some man from the northern part and Adamawa, and that they practically look Chadian. I've got family members who have like German surnames even. So I guess that's why we're called Africa in miniature. That whole shape shifting thing. But yeah, no. Throughout secondary school, never lied once about where I'm from. Just either waited for people to get it, or kind of made it easier because I had friends from all walks of life. I made it easier for them to get it. Like I'd adapt to the version of me that I knew they would understand better or understand best. You feel me? If I ever told people I'm more French than Cameroonian, for example, it's because it's true, but it's also depending on who I feel gets it. Especially back then, I didn't know anything else as much. Certain people from my form even went from hating to coming up to me with their favorite French tunes or artists for me to translate and stuff after a little while. So it just taught me that like with certain people, just have patience, man. There's no need to get mad or get frustrated all the time. Certain people just need time, like, and I guess the kind of or kind enough version of me that back then knew to be patient with people when they were acting like dolts. That's something that I'm practicing more now as somebody with a lot less patience, because I would say that was definitely the top star quality that I just had naturally as a child. But yeah, as a kid, and to be honest, I feel like even from some of my closest friends, I really could have just gotten away with lying about more. Like most people don't even know where I'm from originally. I don't even think most people knew my last name to even try and guess it, type of thing. So it could have been a lot easier maybe if I just played along with their thing, their little fantasies. But them times I was on some like, no, I'm gonna show you that I'm different and I'm better than that. Not even better than that, but like I was definitely on a thing of like nobody's gonna like hold me down or force shit down my throat that I don't agree with. My brother was like that too, but he was more aggressive with it. I was more sly with it. But yeah, those that didn't ask, some assumed Caribbean, Jamaican. Those that knew I speak French fluently. For Congolese or Haitian, I've had both. You definitely wouldn't see me and guess Cameroonian. Some people just saw me and thought just black. He's just every single type of black into one that you like. Because at one point, with me being a bit of a chameleon, I wasn't just compared to fucking French black guys. I was compared to American black guys, black British black guys, Nigerian black guys. Like a real gift for shape shifting into everybody's ideals. But it wasn't even done deliberately, which is what's crazy. It gets crazier as well because I was good at languages from school days, so that allowed me to, which I did as an experiment a bit later on in life. But like, say I'm in my German class, and because I'm good at languages, a girl who doesn't get why I'm so good at languages and doesn't get that in my household, that's our thing, and I have no choice but to be good in said field. Like, I remember some blonde chick called Holly asking me if I'm German, like that kind of shit. Like a lot of things that felt like a lot of people wouldn't give me credit for being black and smart unless it was the only way for them to justify like them being stupid. Like, oh, he's just a smart guy. Like people really try and flip it when it suits them, whatever. When it came to uni now, going back to the whole like, because I was the only one putting on for like like putting French Africans on the map, and even at one point French Caribbeans, everyone in ACS knew me as French Carl or Cameroonian Carl, Carl from Cameroon. Or I managed to keep the French brand up until then, but it was still. So now the world, we're in 2016, so now the world is starting to catch on. But now it's like, man, think I grew up like MHD, like the Afro trap lot. So, I don't really, I don't know about French ends, but I grew up in ends in London. Like, I think from what I remember, Ivry sur Seine was a pretty calm area. Like, no madnesses around me. I was showing French ends though. I was showing French ends by people that like I met on my semester abroad, or when like I lived with my girl that I was, or the girl that I was linking at the time during my second year abroad, because she was from where Aya Nakamura is from, same country of origin, same ends, everything. Big up the Mardi and Gallem. Um, yeah, nah, but also like when I first came up as Cayman, the crazy thing but reoccurring thing that I got was like East African, even Somalian at one point, Kenyan, Somalian, Ethiopian, Madge. But yeah, shout outs to all three. I think looking back, yeah, and trying to create these two brands, Carl Cayman, for people to idolize, and look at me like some sort of like deity or whatever. I did it well because I was smart enough, but I'm sure it would have been it's easier for me to just be normal and just normal like every other other kids type of thing. Like not every day I have to outshine everyone or be more interesting than everyone around me. It definitely fucked with me in early adulthood as far as knowing myself. Because at one point I had so many different versions of me to keep up with that I felt like I didn't even know who me was anymore. At one point, it felt like, am I doing this also? Like, am I doing this to escape or run from the people that really do know me or are trying to? Furthermore, even if I'm right, what do I get out of constantly trying to one up people around me? Is this a part of me trying to impact, or am I impact people, or am I low-key trying to put down others on some like, look at me, I'm so much better than you, which I guess in retrospect makes me understand why certain people didn't like me. um I've been moving a lot more different as I've gotten older. I think it's important, these life lessons, yeah, that I learned from young are for a reason. I believe it's not a bad thing to be good with everyone around you, especially because at one point as well, I was almost trying to get to the bottom of why people hated on me so much. And like, I believe, as someone who understands people naturally, like the psychology of a bad mind people, I truly believe that with a lot of people, it's half them, half you, and obviously how they react to it and what's in their heart. But like, even some of the best people in the world that you know now, most benevolent, whatever, one little thing that you would have potentially, or even if they were the most rotten person on earth, either sides, one little thing that you would have potentially done to somebody that you feel wasn't that important, or he was a bad egg anyway. For some of these man that you didn't make an exception for because they weren't friends of yours, or whatever the reason is, that might have been what sparked their thing. After that, there were just people who were sick, don't like their own lives, and tried to take it out on other people because you, or to try to take it out on you because you look like somebody that they can do it to you or control it without consequences. It's human nature. Learn life. The world is the world. Going back to influences music wise, I don't know if I spoke about influences music wise actually. So yeah, moving on to influences music wise. Um, Grime wise, I would say Maxstar, SAS, Mani Mayhem, the big up Mega as well, and Chipmunk. Um, that's grime wise. I was also inspired by French singers, French rappers, from mid 90s to early 2000s, some even late 2000s, for sure. Producer wise, Flukes turned Crazy Cousin, Dot Rotten turned Zeph Ellis, and Teaser inspired me to make my own wave and find my own sound as Lefty Productions. When I was doing that, I don't think I've got a favorite UK rapper. That's not from Ends anyway. I was inspired by the Ends a lot, brother. I'm not gonna lie. Remembering how much there was there back then as well. I really know, like the UK rap scene for me, 2011 times, was more like, yeah, you man got interesting characters like us grime man, but nobody as such. Maybe because I wasn't in it as much, nobody really stood out to me. To be fair, French rappers wise, I'd listen to Buba, look him up, Bakar, look him up, Oxmo, Pacino, look him up, Yusufa, definitely look him up. Yusufa is definitely one of my favorites. That era of French rap where it was like they'd be they'd full on rap about street life, but to me it was always more eloquently put together, depicted, and then say UK rap. It felt more poetic, or addressing real life issues in Paris at the time. Everything from like second generation immigrants integrating racism as a whole, one's love, one's longing or missing of their home country, growing up in inner city suburbs of Paris. I always liked to compare that to like what was going on in London, that kind of thing. Like listening to music from both countries made me feel like I had my brain split, like I was constantly in two different worlds. Like as a child now, I grew up on a lot of, don't know if they still label it that way now, but what they would label as world music. So I guess African music would be in there, but not necessarily like Afro beats, or maybe yes Afro beats, but the original thing, your fellow Cooties, your Francis Bebe. Obviously, I'm Cameroonian, so Francis Bebe, or like different variations or rather subgenres of African music, like African jazz, African reggae, whatever. Like I feel like I grew up on bare fusion music, and if you listen to the way I'd naturally just either mix styles rapping wise, or even in the musicality of some of my instrumentals, you can definitely hear the influences. I feel like I have that to thank for this kind of more soft but mystical sound that you could hear in some of my 2011, 2012 productions beats wise as Lefty Pro. It was particularly interesting to have gone from being fully immersed in that world from birth to preteen age, we'll say, and then have like musical influences from school friends, MTV, the new culture that I was introduced to spawned a new being, or new version of me as an extremely spiritual person. I know the effects that music has on me and how I can tap into different inner worlds for myself through it. Different genres to me had different functions, we'll say. Naturally, sometimes you just hear certain songs, and to you some stick out, others don't. But like as a kid trying to understand his best friend's world and things like that, I'm obviously trying to show them my culture, and they're trying to show me theirs, so that as our friendships like grow, it's like you're my point of now, you're my go-to person for this genre of music if I ever need to find an artist, etc., and vice versa. um as a 14-year-old grime head, for instance, I had a friend that was heavily into dubstep and would show me his Flux Pavilion, his mode step Sunlight banger. So through that, because grime is, as some people describe it, almost like a cousin of dubstep, I got to find dubstep artists that collaborated with grime artists that I already knew, and that way we as friends found a bond in terms of understanding our not so opposing worlds. I remember, for example, when Ed Sheeran had that project where he worked with a few grime artists back in 2011, or when like I remember some show on Radio 1 called Grime versus Dubstep where me, my brother, and a friend heard it live on air, you know? Aside from the music genres that I felt I belonged to or were a part of my identity, I've always found it uber important to know what was relevant to the year that we're in. I like catchy songs. I like songs that become hits naturally as somebody who tried to understand or learn how hits are made, like if there was ever a science behind it. Going back to music, bringing you in different worlds, I think like as a black guy that knows deep down every black person has like a white side to them, and as a heavy enthusiast from like age 8, as somebody who loved like white American teen high school, like that world or whatever they were selling, whatever they were selling in movies. I'd say I listened to a lot of music that depicted that whole I'm a sex crazed teen doing school, semi living life, semi thinking about his future, semi trying to figure out how to lose V card and get laid with a chick that's totally out of my league. You know, like the McLovin Fogel character, the super bad, the American Pie. So there was that side of me heavy, and then the more UK urban black brick good youth from ends that wants to make it out but loves where he's from. So whatever artists and whatever type of music was for characters that fit that description. And I do that shifting naturally from the French artists to the American artists to the English artists. I feel like I'm a bit of an oldie as well, if I'm using the term correctly, when it comes to music taste, just because whatever was passed on to me from parents, I really took as my own thing and made a part of my either no made it well, part of my identity depending on the stage of life. Like going back to like childhood artists that stuck out to me, not even just because of their music, but even the things that I heard about them in their personal lives. I always looked at it like so and so who's famous went through this. I have to be careful with that in my own life. Something as like where they the words, but like Claude Francois, for example, the French artist that did the Oh What a Night cover, that 80s tune. The way he died, changing a light bulb. I remember being like 6 to late teens, and just because of my mum telling me and how much that stuck with me from then till even now. I think I've always been careful with changing light bulbs, as silly as that sounds. So things like that, I don't know. I looked at worldly music a lot for life advice that my parents who weren't so worldly couldn't give me. It's like I have a myriad of distant fathers through music. Grime to me felt like the music that almost was a stepdad to. I'm not young enough to, I think, to say grime raised me, but like to me, grime was like a fusion hybrid of styles that were professional that I had not professional but like already established as professional genres that I had heard before, and I loved the way that it sounded, so I got involved, and that's how I say grime. That's how I see it. Like when or Harry even. Like when I hear some of JME's old beats, the drum patterns in his old grime beats, I hear African drum patterns. I hear the West African like drum pattern influences that are similar to even like Cameroonian Makossa music, because it's all West African. You know what I mean? So I guess me making music, getting into grime music, was my way of meshing all types of music that I grew up on. But I guess the start publicly, as far as rapping, was once this kid in my school, Killigan Ferrell. No, that's Kibble Ferrell. Um, um, Killigan Farrell, my bad, fucking up, had a channel, a YouTube channel called MFTV, Musical Finance TV, as his version of like, rest in peace, Jamal Edwards SBTV. And I guess as he was building it, he started off putting on people from our school first. I think if you look at the videos that are still on there now, it's like a typical, like, whoever was hood famous on this rap thing, like Grey Gang people, either that or whoever was spitting it was taken seriously enough to like keep the videos on there. But yeah, man, from everywhere from like Barnet to Haringey, there's a couple videos shot minutes away from where I live too. But yeah, as grime heads, I had to go. My mate Seth, who still makes music, had to go. As well as I'd say out of everyone in our year, we were probably the only two with talent, rated or not at the time, because I heard mixed feelings about me from people. True, I was a lot more likable as a person, so certain people just gave me props because they liked me, but also people from like outside of school showed me love as well and managed to like as nervous as I was on the day as well, because I was mad young, had never been on camera, nothing. I managed to close a few mouths, not a lot, but a few mouths from naysayers who then went on to try it for themselves after me a year or 2 years later. Always how it is, you low key wanted to do it too, so you're hating me for stepping up first. You're welcome. I gave you the confidence. Love though. MFTV, my video got deleted time ago, right? And it weren't my best work, but it was a start, and it gave me confidence for the next time. And then from then on, progression. I'm naturally an evolver and a fast learner, so I got good very quickly. Around same time, better with beats. I'm at a point at 15 years old where I'm making grime instrumentals that sound professional-ish. Reckon that was good enough for radio play. I remember this guy, if not that year, the following year, this guy called Freezer Chin out of Canada, randomly snooping around on my channel trying to get a refix of a TRC tune that I made basically. TRC, the grime bassline producer that made that ooh ooh r beat that was big in grime early 2010s. I remember the Nasty FM days, getting tunes played on Nasty FM. I remember Selector Fury from Nasty FM promoting, bigging up, playing tunes off an instrumental mixtape I put out straight after exams. Danny C. Grime Time promoting my music. Yes's Vets, aka Vets, promoting my music and tweeting at me. And the Lingo is someone who went on to do a lot better than me and a couple of other so me, Lingo, and a couple of other producers on the rise at the time. We were his favorite like beats over names, as he put it, to look out for, like to say like these men are talented, small buzzer side. Devilish as well, who made that beat that was on Gets His Fuck Radio, was on that list as well. I wasn't the first rapper in my family, by the way. There was my dad's youngest brother, my older cousin, eldest son of aunt, my mum's sister, that I looked up to like a big brother, and younger brother rapped first, but two technically. But I definitely, out of everyone, I definitely took it further, took it more seriously, and from when I mastered, from when you recall it, from when I started, I mastered the grime thing. I knew I had a lot of potential that I just refused to waste, to a point where I had to hide that life from parents at one point because they were trying to stop me. I got so obsessed at one point, and they tried to stop me from making music at one point. I was influenced, especially at the time where I wasn't necessarily dealing with real life things yet, but was still good. I was influenced in terms of like content by your more positive, more creative grime MCs that had shit to rap about beyond just the stereotypical gun shanks gash lyrics. I used to clash a lot too as well, and I loved that. So that was an influence. Just like battling MCs, huge influence too. I can't remember if there was a friend, like the first friend music wise or secondary school wise, that I spat my first grime lyrics to. So I figured most people would have found out on the day that Killian recorded my freestyle literally on the day. How I tend to announce most things that I do, to be honest. I've always been a bit unpredictable like that, with my premeditated thoughts. But that's just because in my head, I'm thinking, how else am I gonna say it? I've been low-key been writing lyrics for a while now, and I'm gonna have a freestyle filmed by Killigan and Max. Like, I wasn't really a talker like that, just to do it like that, you know? In that sense anyway. So yeah, dropped it. Miles, aka Mills Trevor Nelson's son, showed love. School people from that knew me showed love. Couple girls in my year and their older sisters showed love, even if they didn't want to, they showed love. The way people hated him at school was by bantering. So because nobody wanted to look like a hater, but the talent and the talent I had from young was undeniable. Undeniable. All people could really say is, "But we know you, quote unquote. So we don't rate you as a person. We don't like you as a person. We don't like you doing what you're doing." Mind you, we're all 15 years old, 15, 16 years old. Some other kids will have an issue with you around that age and not even know why. Why? Like it is what it is. But yeah, at that time, there was definitely an element of through this, I get to define who I am more rather than letting the world do so, or family do so, or peers do so. And through this, I understand the world around me more. So in terms of identity, it was definitely important for me. Um, Growing up in a Christian household as well, but deep down feeling, growing up in a Christian household, but feeling like deep down I'm more worldly, or at that point, like gradually shape shifting into the more worldly version of myself. It allowed me to strip myself off of that, the what I felt I was being spoon fed and programmed to be versus, the actual person at hand. The internet raised rapping teenage Norbit lookalike from the estate with the crocodile trademark. I always find it interesting how naturally, as just somebody who really understood the grime world, how I was able to brand myself, how I really saw myself as part of the scene long before anybody knew me. I think that advantage over even some of my school music friends for who it seemed there was a bit more of a divide, and obviously that they were a bit more grounded in reality than I was. I was a dreamer and it worked for me, like creatively anyway. Material wise, that was holding me back. Like my earlier tracks were made in like my living room on Audacity with the mic plugged in, so I didn't really consider working with people until like 2013, really and truly. And them times, it was like I'm working with people I know personally. Like the Lingo from South, who offered, would have been the first. Like he wanted to work with me after hearing my stuff late 2011. So I started officially spring 2011. By then, work rate wise, and with what I had going on 2012 EPR, a lot of things were popping off for me fast. Like, and that was the thing because I felt like raw. A couple people from school don't like me as it is, and already don't like me as it is, and don't and think they're gonna hold me down with all of this hate and negative comments. So it fueled the fire in me to like just move fast. I feel like quickly I got to figure out after this move what my next move is, so it's even better than the last one. Um, so they can shut up or whatever. So when I'm making beats, I'm sending my favorite ones to gram DJs and producers and MCs on Facebook. I was doing everything everywhere and it was working, but fast, 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 quick, fast, like better than even certain people that were in front of me that have completely given up now. As far as my entry into the game, I would say so around 2011 times, whilst trying to build the MCing side of things, music wise, I was already 2 years into um, making beats, putting them out online, um, and getting recognition and love from people beats wise. The only thing that I can say about that is my talent and uniqueness made me stand out and made people want to hear me more. Like I can't tell you how the connections that I made, because at the beginning of my instrumental journey, I wasn't promoting or anything like that. So I don't know how I managed, how I like, looking back, I don't know how people randomly stumbled on rhythms and beats that I made to want to like work with me, you know? Yeah, no, a bit more than 10 years, 2 years, by the way. So from 2009 times where I'm experimenting to 2011 when I made a beat for this guy from East London called Ramsey, during that whole Reload FM versus the grime scene feud. Shout outs to Reload FM as well, because I came across as a huge criminal fan. At that time, they converted me. I became a fan of both parties. I like them for like their sets, the energy they came with. I wasn't clashing people back then as well, so I've always had a bit of a competitive nature to me, which drew me to grime, and I drew a lot of inspiration from like Jaiza Reload FM and Ramsey from Reload FM. Even though a lot of men in the scene didn't like them at the time, I'm not really someone who just follows the crowd. I can think for myself type of thing. That part, that side of Gram, the hype, the clashing, the rawness, the banter was very much still needed at the time. But yeah, I made the beat for one of them. Made the beat, which I would say is like, I made one of my like the equivalent to like my Dot Rotten Bazooka is how I'd call it. My first beat to do bits, in my opinion, even though the EP for it never came out. I almost wanted to make like a refix for it as well and put it out as some sort of like single. So I sent Ramsey from Reload FM a Reptile rhythm. I sent him and Jaiza some UKB bassline type of beats, and then my Reptile rhythm, I think it was called at the time, Ramsey bigged it up straight away without any like, oh, you're not big yet, you're not this, you're not that. Because I'm 15 at the time, it's like he's gassing me up, like saying that like I'm more talented than so man, even in the scene type of thing. Like, meanwhile, locally, I'm 15 being hated by my peers around me, so it's like I'm looking at it from different perspectives. It's like, but wait, hold on, man, hate me where I'm from, but like, man over there, man are showing me the right people. Like the right people are showing me love. So I just got to crack on. So that gave me extra motivation. So from then, from sending beats to Reload FM to other online platforms, online radio platforms like Nasty FM, to more people hearing from me, to people on their come ups who already knew, people in the grime scene telling me they want to work with me. It was all just happening as it should have, like in correlation to the work I was putting in, if that makes sense. Meanwhile, people from school are doing their bit as well. So it was all working together. Everything was working together. And then by end 2011, the 2012 EP is out. I'm 16 years old, gradually getting love as an MC and producer from outsiders, mainly because I guess crab in the barrel mentality when it comes to your own support. And, you know, they always look at it like, I know you from school, I don't like you. So what if you're talented? Don't get big-headed now, this, that, and the third. My timing at the time, when it came to grabbing opportunities, I'll be real, I don't know how I did it. I can't say. I'm a spiritual person and I know how close I was to God back then. So I only have him to thank for all of this. But like, yeah, not a lot of people get to say that they had somewhat of a musical career from the tender age of 14, 15, 16. I was really in my mid-teens, still underdeveloped, learning in school and learning about royalties and PRS at home, courtesy of family in the music industry. I did a pretty decent job, I'd say, of managing myself and just off instinct and knowing who to, like, what move to make next, who to work with, or who not to work with, etc. The fact that I was kind of the type to keep to myself as a kid, which for the average person would make networking hard, but it did force me to have a strong intuition business-wise, which I would say around them times didn't fail me. It really worked to my favor, oddly enough. Networking-wise, it was Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. I believed in my musical ability so much that no matter how, not that I was shy, I was quiet and calm as a kid, but wasn't much of a talker. I figured the only thing I could literally do was let my talent speak for me, you know. But looking back, it would have been a lot easier for me if people saw more of my personality, which is something I managed to work on later on in life. So around that time, we're in 2011. I started as Cayman MC artist for spring 2011. Got a fan base in at least three North London boroughs. And by summer we can add a small fan base in we'll say at least one East London borough, and then by end 2011 we can add a couple of people from South as well. From me clocking on them now, from me clocking that South Londoners were clocking onto my thing, and that a lot of people were, a lot more things were popping off there in terms of like helping new grime artists, producers break through. By 2011, still using the buzz of my EP and little material from freestyles I'd put out on YouTube. Um, I started thinking, yeah, let me do visuals next. That's my next step. So immediately it was like that what channel is popping at the time? Who do I go to? Come across this channel called OSM Vision. Recognized OSM Vision. Recognized O. Shaman, who was running around filming it, people them times. I recognized him from one Reload FM set. Um, Added two together and trusted that that was the next step to make. Contacted him for a freestyle, got parred off twice. People are busy, though, so no grudges there. Got there the third time, murked it. His boys showed love. I'm 16, going on 17 at the time, so still young, but they let me know that like, yeah, you're hard, you got talent, but obviously O. Shaman showed love, but his thing was more like he's standing on business.
Yeah.
Which I get. Man was trying to hustle me into like paying him more for like future freestyles. Them times I didn't have a job. I saw the like a game console to like pay for it type of things. So yeah, films. Um, I think it was filmed somewhere like London Bridge. It was filmed somewhere like London Bridge. My first time in like that part of like Southwark was as well. Like I like the fact that I did it. Looking back, I wish I still had that like I still had the video, but that's long gone. But to come from being like the quiet kid stuck on the sixth floor of his flat to like trekking from North London to South London for the music, it just felt like I was really out here facing my fears beyond just achieving my goals, beyond fulfilling like what do you call it, childhood dreams with that, and that's why it meant so much more to me. It was like a statement. It was like a big fuck you to the world for trying to suppress me and weaken me, and like me coming out of the constant hatred spewed at me, a stronger person and a more influential person. Um, my next step, if it weren't for uni, probably would have been like, I think like collaborating with the square or something like well, because Lingo was already asking, so like honestly the way I was moving, it was like the only thing that stopped me was loyalty to family, and I even tried to run away at one point for that reason, but we'll talk about that later on too. I remember how hard it was for me. I wish I had tried at least to get like a job or figure out a way to make money to afford my material though, in hindsight back then, because as much as I grabbed opportunity, I also missed out on a lot of opportunities, not thinking about money first or not thinking about money at all. Like my plan during those times was to have my name ringing next to like other young artists that were doing it at the time. So for instance, there's a competition where they're asking you to write your hardest tune to be a part of a mixtape, and I do the tune, but I ain't got my own studio, so it's on a shit Audacity free fucking download or something. So it's in my living room, so it sounds crap. But and I remember it. I think it was D Jones put out his R tune that did bits and got on the mixtape, and I was just thinking like, fuck's sake, I'm just as good. I could have done that if only. Like looking back as someone who pursued his passions, I remember feeling like I had so many if only moments, just bare frustrating moments where like I look back thinking I know damn well I didn't give this my all. Like at that point as well. So from 2011, 2012 times, my worlds are school life, family life, and music life. So around that time, whilst people like me and Seth and debatably Mogs were taking music more seriously around them times, everyone in school that just weren't levels finally called it quits. But because my ambition was bigger, I was never looking at it like I need to be better than people from school. I looked at it like I need to be on the same level as the grime heads I got my style from, the ones that influenced me. I need to try and outdo and exceed them, just on some like I'm the next generation coming through. No stranger to hard work. Around them times, it was like if I wasn't finishing schoolwork, I'm on the next thing that allows me to level up, like music career wise. I wasn't really trying to take breaks. I took it that seriously. and it was working, and it was. So I didn't want to stop. I had like a next level like ambition, probably what was scaring off my parents and whoever else. Like, not a lot of people that I grew up in my area with a similar mind frame. I promise you. It was every day promoting Lefty Pro releases or the next Cayman freestyle or tune or feature. Um, to school people, to grime producers, to grime MCs, everything. The amount of times I'd hear fuck off as a reply even in my inbox, but didn't give a fuck because it's like um, I'm getting the result that I need to get regardless. That's how I see it. The outcome, like I was focused on the outcome, like hard enough to where it didn't matter how much people scorned me, essentially. A lot of people would have felt uncomfortable doing what I'd done because of their mentality and because everybody fears putting themselves out there and potentially looking at like the guy that's like begging it off everybody or breading everybody. But like, and that's exactly why a lot of people that were on the same journey as me, they didn't make it. Like, because listening to the wrong people and not having that foresight like I did. I carried that same energy of being long-term thinking all up until first year of uni, which got my name ringing around more ears and got me winning a fresher of the year award, you know, like along with a guy named Jay Angelo who got labeled most talented during our first year at KCL, all 18, 19 them times. Um, I remember after winning free tickets to that Red Bull Culture Clash thing back in 2012, and mixing years a lot. I remember I won. I brought Mugs along. I brought Mugs along. But I remember this other artist called Shannon Parks as well. He won but didn't come through in the end. And looking back, it's always interesting to see to me to see how like I didn't know my man at the time. Obviously I know him now, he knows me, vice versa. We've been compared in that. Um and because I'm the only MC I guess that you could have put in the same generation as like the Square guys or like No Me TV, OSM Vision generation, grime wise. But I'm the only one from North, but I would have been on my come up like them, but I just happen to be one of the few from North London. Um, I'm mixing dates a lot, like I keep saying. So all of this would have happened around 2013 times. From my beginning stages in 2011 to 2013, now I got a buzz 2013. People knowing me. I got tunes out, I got visuals out. I'm in studios regularly with school friends and the man them around. That's around 2013. In the space of 2 years, I was able to witness for myself like how far I could get in life off the like strength of my own work, self-belief, ambition, the right attitude, humility, but most importantly, like showing up day in, day out and doing the work, and prioritizing that, like even over like social life. That's what made me stand out from a lot of my peers. Like if I was ever to socialize them times or go to a party them times, at the back of my head, there would be this like back thought, occurring thought of like I should probably use this opportunity to network with somebody or promote something or promote brands, show somebody what I'm doing, what I've done, etc. If it was a thing where I was just trying to get more women to like me through music to make up for being a late bloomer in school, uh, which looking back, you're not supposed to be worried about girls not bouncing in your dick at the snap of the finger when you're like fucking 12 years old. Uh, I would have quit years ago, because that's what a lot of people assume, but it's not true. But no, my drive and the reason behind it is just greater than anybody around me ever understood. Around those times, albeit slowly understanding the real world and how I'm perceived to the bigger world beyond just, Carl, the little sweet nerdy looking black kid from school. I would say I was still very much protected compared to other teens around me who went through more hardship but saw the world for what it was a lot faster than me anyway. So I guess through through pursuing through pursuing passions and obviously living and getting older and experiencing things more, I started to understand more, uh, mainly about people though. And I say about people because, so we'll say beginning stages of music journey, because before that I was just known as Carl the Dancer, and even that, like, certain people had a problem with. But I guess for whatever reason, they accepted it more. But no matter how much people were initially against it, it was like, okay, we'll give it to him. He's a good dancer. We don't like him for it, but he's a good dancer. But when I got to 15 and decided I'm gonna do music too, that ruffled more feathers. Like, especially because I was going from some idea for lyrics written in my household to people telling me, "Raw, he's actually cold," like type of thing, beyond just school. So me deciding at such a young age that I knew what I wanted to make of myself, and the fact that I saw a path for myself, and I had so much confidence in myself regarding that, it was like I was basically the wrong person to do it, or maybe in the wrong environment to do it, which you wouldn't think, because it wasn't like I went to a school in Muswell Hill where like people who were already related to people who had made, who were established in their creative industries, who were famous or whatever type of thing. So it was probably like I was either hated by people from my area who had nothing going for themselves, or people from school who had nothing going for themselves, or like worst case, sons, uh, children, nephews of actors, famous people, celebrities who knew that they would never be able to exceed their parents or their, who saw me. They'd see me, someone who tried to get it on his own without any connections, didn't come up with any family member's name. They saw me doing it on my own, and it's like, fuck him, why him? They started to realize that no matter how kind I am and respectful I am, I'm very like, when it comes to my goals, nobody can tell me what to do. You don't have the power or the control over me that you wish, that you think that you have, or that you wish that you have. Or it's just the thing of like, I grew up with less than you, but with more ambition, and I'm actually going and doing it, and it's working. So the craziest thing about the hate that I got is like, I never understood the hate coming from rich kids in school, because in my head it's like, where I'm at right now, your life in general is so much better than mine, but you can't let me have this one thing that will allow me to change my life, mind you. But still, like, you're like that. What I come to on a, I look at it like, what I came to on a regular basis them times is insane, So my bro, like, let me just live. Why do you have a problem with me trying to get out of it? Like, a lot of people that grew up on the same estate as me, in my honest opinion, they chose their paths. They made, like, they did road from then times. So they chose their paths. They made their bed, lie in it, type of thing. But I sacrificed and compromised a lot. Is how I look at it, and went through periods of like a man's telling me, I don't understand why you're wasting your time in school and don't come and get this money with me, and they like thinking I'm stupid enough to listen. Telling me every day that I'm broke with this, no gala on me that. At least applaud me for my fucking foresight. Like applaud. Do you know what I mean? Which is not something that's easy to do at 15 years old. Believe me, there was absolutely nobody around me. I'll be real. There was absolutely nobody around me to encourage me to achieve my goals, from family who worked in a similar industry, to kids in school, to people from ends, until they saw the results, until some of them saw that it was working, and and even then they still hated on me. They gave props but still hated. So I was shown nothing but tough love, if any, regarding that. I'm gonna be very real, and this was before I started looking good and dressing well. So trust me, it was 10 times worse. Um, People hate me now and I look good and I have more money. So back then it was 10 times worse. Looking back though, there was like, I wish I had been braver to network with people that were like showing me love. And I do feel the hate, scorning, and just full on jealousy that I felt from people kind of like clouded it warped the way that I saw people, to a point. Even people who were showing me love or wanted to work with me or were just trying to help me, I couldn't tell at one point who wasn't on my side from who was. I was into like, I was just too into like, why do they hate me? Fuck them. Why do they hate me? Why do they hate me? Just deciding, fuck it, it's me against the world, which even caused me to burn bridges with well, with friends before anything else. But yeah, people to potentially work with also. My way of protecting myself also was like I start feeling um like I'm better than everyone and more talented than everyone around me anyway. So I'm gonna do it on my own. No one can chat to me. Um, which isn't the way. It's not the right mindset to have if um you want to do business with people. You know, there were people eventually who reached out and tried to help me on my journey, even though some of them initially jeered at me, talked shit about me. I think as somebody who likes to think of himself as a long termist, I wish I had been just a bit strong enough to put feelings aside for the sake of my goals more. Like I probably would have gotten a lot further, but long memories, you know, a gift and a curse, because there were just certain things that I couldn't let slide. I remember how certain men treated me, whether they changed their minds or matured or in the end or not. The good thing is in Prospect Ring and Grange, because I wasn't really street affiliated like that. I've never really had enemies in the area around me. Once I started to come out of my shell more, it was more like um I'm the good youth from the estate, in that stereotypical, like in that UK urban world. So it was like after a little while, because people knew me, it was that relationship which worked well, and which I would recommend and give as advice to younger kids to just be themselves, know yourself, and be yourself. Because the people that I saw like suffer or get done something were ones that tried to force something that they weren't. Me, I was just doing me. Me just doing me, but being from the same block worked well for me because nothing was forced. I was just me. I never acted out of character. I never I think people respect you when you just know yourself. I had a strong character like that, courtesy of parents, so that was never a problem. It was just like them lot are doing their own thing. I'm on school music and whatever it gets me to experiencing a completely different world. But I rep for them too. But that just in my own way, you know? So throughout that time, my family, parents specifically started becoming some of my greatest enemies. And that's like, of all the kids in my school that hated me, but obviously couldn't do shit to me or shit about it, they tried to go out of their way to hurt me on several occasions out of spite, beyond just this kid's got a dream and it's working for him at such a young age, and he's happier than I was as a teenager, and he has more friends than I did as a teenager, and I can't redo my fucked up childhood, so I have to fuck his up as well. um, I'm talking like beyond just threats of sending me to Cameroon, beyond just the belt, like think about the type of frustration that you would have to have as a middle-aged man who left school at 16 to make music and flopped, whose spouse is smarter and more talented than him, whose kids are smarter and more educated than you are, with complexes that nobody respects you and listens to you because you're not feeling yourself and how life turned out for you. You're out of shape, you're boarding, no women are on you, you threaten your spouse into staying with you, you threaten your kids um, into respecting you, but they don't. Everyone lies to you behind your back. I'm not gonna lie, by the time I was 17, I was kind of like already trying to plan my route out, trying to figure out, like trying to find work, trying to figure out whether or not I can do college and work and music and just fuck off this entire pathetic family that just absolutely wants me to be as bitter as them. Like, because I was starting to look at it like I'm doing well in school. I'm not getting in trouble. You've already tried to fuck up my social life and failed. Not because you're strict parents, just because you're spiteful parents. Um, Spiteful, emotionally immature, petty parents who weren't respected as kids, who wanted me to be in the same predicament, whatever. And you're now trying to take every single form of self-expression that I have, anything that gives me a voice and makes you realize there's a human being with his own thoughts and beliefs behind your ideal of what your carbon copy should be like. And the minute I want to go my own way because I've had enough, you want to threaten to kill me. when I left my home at 17, I almost got killed for it. Not exaggerating, almost died. With even some of my childhood friends, I guess, condoning it in the sense of like, why do you think you're so special that you're going to live a good life? You're just like us type of thing. Um, in typical, in true crab in a barrel fashion, we didn't, so you won't. Even though I did in the end. And that's the thing, because nobody wants to look like a hater. And what I was doing was obviously working. I went from MFTV at 15 to EP and mixtapes at 16 to Tim Westwood and visuals and freestyle at 17. And it was only ever going to go up from there. So it was like from secondary school kids and family initially jeering at me, there was a progression and a fast one that just burned everybody's souls, parents included, popular kids included too. Because at one point, luckily for them though, shouts to the popular kids from my school. The popular kids in my school weren't like popular kids who weren't smart and were gonna end up with shit futures coming out of education. Most of the nerds, in fact, that I knew in school, the popular kids are actually doing a lot better than. So it's not one of them stories. Like, not that many people managed to change their fate like I did, despite holding on to that fantasy of like, one day I'll show them, but you didn't. You really didn't. So for the most part, the cool kids won and were intelligent, and which meant that the best thing they could do, those that doubted me initially, their best reaction or response was, we don't rate him anyway. He's doing well, but who cares? It's called the smart man knows when he can't win. That's how he wins. I rate it because I'm like that too. We'll just give it to him. So he did it. We're not going to tell him that he proved us wrong, but he proved us wrong. But at that point, until they finally let go, people were realizing that there really is no controlling me or treating me like trying to talk to me like you're above me, or even trying to humble myself because I've gone and done something that you can't even fathom, like that you can't even do yourself. So the only thing you can do is taunt, troll, or get other people that can't do it to hate me, which I don't care about. But the fantasies about me being under anyone or having to bow down to anyone just because they're more popular than me, that doesn't fly in the world. You can't beat what I've done, the actual work that I've put in the real world, versus you. You know, I have a bright future that I just created by myself, for myself, and you don't. Respectfully, don't come at me. Poof. What else? No, funnily enough, during that time, I was never too. Obviously, I knew, just from the look on people's faces, I knew who I knew who was who for the most part, but like, I was never one to really go out of my way to find out who said this about me, who said that about me. For the most part, people would come to me and tell me, or people would come to me and say, oh, I saw that freestyle you did at so and so's house, this, that, and the third, you're good. But they said it in a way where it was like testing my reaction, or like testing, does he remember how I felt about him back in the day? Does he know? Um, I always peeped shit like that and just kept the biggest poker face when it came to things like that. Like, but it was never people that were doing better than me chatting shit. I promise you. Even girls like the fucking little 14-year-old slacks from school with nothing better to do, coming around to get pressed out by dealers, coming to the ends to get pressed out by dealers in my era, that that think they have a say in that they can diss me when I have a future and they don't. It's either that or like girls from my form that were starting to fall off while I was in the beginning of my prime, going gym and that, contact lenses and that, about like chatting shit about like not even saying my name, saying like like 70 times, just because they realize we have nothing to relate to anymore, and I'm levels ahead of you in life. That kind of shit, that whole experience, for real, of like, if you want to call it glowing up, if you want to call it evolution of K, it taught me so much about people and how they switch up on you when you go from humble kid, the humble beginnings, humble kid that everybody loves, to just, I'm out here, I'm getting it, I'm winning, I'm more powerful, I'm not as approachable, I'm not as relatable, I have more people off the work that I put in for myself by myself. You cannot do anything to me. You can't touch me. That period of my life taught me a lot about playing the long game, thinking decades away from like my current situation, it made me realize that that's the real way to win. It gave me a maturity beyond what you'd expect from someone like me, especially at that age. It taught me to stay grounded and stay focused on whatever next move I gotta make. As far as hustling, there's always more to do than to try to stunt on people who had nothing but verbal for you anyway, and didn't really mean half of the bullshit that they used to to spew at you anyway. They didn't really know what they were talking about for the most part. It gave me a deeper understanding of people than most of my peers, most of the people around me, one that would allow me to navigate through life better in years to come, aside from the times when I can retrospectively say that, fair enough, in these particular cases, I did create my own enemies. That little experience following dreams showed me how even your own family members can see that happen for you, and you become prey in your own household from then on, because you've introduced a new way of living, a better way of living for yourself, and you're either bringing them in, or you're trying to bring them in, and they're trying to mash everything up because they're stuck in their weird little programming. Safe to say some men want to die with whatever they know that's bad for them, but because it's comfortable and they know it and they can't control it, and they can or think they can't. I don't know. So yeah, 16, 17 years old, um, especially when I felt the change, very dark fucking time. But I'm glad I came out of it. I'm glad I was brave enough to face everything, to come out into the next realm where I know more, I understand more, I earn more, and I'm stronger. 17 years old with a clear plan on the life that I want to live. No stranger to hard work, but also trying to have fun, getting more female attention because I'm looking better and working out, you know what I'm saying? Beautiful women. It's like that's enough to piss off anybody that I guess previously knew me as smaller, quieter Norbit K. So I'm not surprised. I'd be mad too, but you're mad at yourselves. You had the choice to treat me right or not, and choose to not. So yeah, a life where like um I'm in school, and people who have a problem with me or think I'm a certain way have something to prove to me or want to show to me that I'm not as important as I think, that I can always get humbled, that this, that, and the third. I even had teachers hating on me for the same reasons. My teachers were losers though. The ones that wanted to prove to kids in school that they were either so cool now or so cool back in the day, like it was dead, you're pathetic. But yeah, man, I'm glad I've evolved and gotten to a point where, like, at the very most, nowadays, if a man comes up to me, it's to tell me that they recognize me from social media, or from the pickup stuff, or the music stuff, or the dancing stuff, or a link up TV video or YouTuber's video that I featured in. But during my teens, it was like, you never know who's coming up to me. You never know who's coming up to you to tell you, like, coming up to you and it's beef, or like coming up to you hating. I even used to get prank calls at one point, obviously from people who would never do it in real life. But yeah, man, you putting yourself out there can really expose people's inner demons, man, and malice and true intentions. True, we still winning though. But yeah, 2 years but clock now. This is just the downside of the many blessings that have come my way. A feeling they will never know. A feeling they will never know. And I can tell you as well, people never see the times when, like, before I've put out whatever I've wanted to put out, before I've met up with somebody to record a freestyle or a tune, the amount of times I've been rejected, the amount of times it's not worked to my favor, and I continued the steps that I had to take before the steps that I felt that I was already prepared for, because there's no shortcuts or cutting corners in anything. Like me being turned down twice before I got on OS and Vision, and it was like I wanted to do S-Star 2 at one point, but it was like, okay, fair enough, I've not put enough music out and my name doesn't ring bells in enough places yet. But it's just for those that gave up and wanted to spite me afterwards, the only difference is I was doing more than you and not stopping. I couldn't just stay at the bottom like you, man. I had to move. The amount of times the amount of time invested, the amount of money as well. Like we laughed about it years later, but I guess, and that's just like this smallest thing. But like I remember telling Odo like that day when I was 17, you man recorded my freestyle and you got your channel deleted, my bro. You know that I had gone and sold my DS and that like no job, no money them times, but hungry. Literally hungry too, because I was on my skinny sort them times. But yeah, man, like I was gutted, so I can only imagine how furious he was about losing his whole channel. But big up O Dot, man, for real though. From the freestyles that he's done for people, the people he's murked in clashes on Nomi TV, the beats that most of you late 2000s, 2010 grime heads have grown up on that he's put out on the net. I think I've had like one or two lyrics that I slightly teethed from him on a homage tip 4 years ago or something. He definitely, well, in general, I like wordplay MCs. I'm from North, but he definitely taught me a thing or two, and he rated one of my bars when I was experimenting with the whole like wordplay thing in it. So that's big up O. 2013 times, Same time in first year college, same time keeping my head down and just letting a lot of idiots from school feel like they're winning. Same time hailing up people from school that I used to be close with, no longer fucking with me because we're on different paths. Same time these men are asking me about people from my area, even though they don't like me, just weird bullshit and behavior from people. Same time their exes are trying to fuck my pals and their new boyfriends are talking about how they're scheming on my pals dead. I did the best thing in 2013. I did the best thing anyone could have ever done during them times, to just keep my head down, like keep to myself and stick to school and music, because around them times it was a messy ass environment. From all of the shit people around me used to tell me, all of the snaking, all of the this one's fuck, this one's girl, that one wants to shank that one that pulled up to Grange with his girl and I hooted him up. It was wild. And I had enough drama as it is at home. So, and all I wanted to do was make music and money and get girls. I've never been a drama king, like. But yeah, so music and school, I wasn't thinking, I was having a lot of fun with music. I know that back then I was saying shit like, I'm here for the money, I'm gonna make so much peace out of this music thing. I think I always thought that worst case, I'm smart and I'll figure something out if I need money. But back then, music back then was mainly for fun and like yet another thing to do to prove people wrong for doubting. But just that, like, in my head, I'm not just gonna prove you wrong. I'm gonna do it and then some. I'm gonna do it and get paid. I'm gonna do it and people will know me worldwide for it, and you'll be hated worldwide for it, for your dubious assumptions. If I was to go back and do it again, I'd make better business choices, more money. Like I'd make more decisions thinking about money than just randomly beefing people, even people that were trying to help me, just because we've had issues in the past in one citizenship lesson or whatever. Like I see how it can be looked at as paradoxical, where on one hand I'm saying I'm a long-termist, but on another hand I'm stuck in the past regarding certain people that could have made bigger moves with, because we had issues in the past. But I guess that's just because of how deep certain things were to me back in the day. I'll never forget you if you're someone, who dealt with me a certain way in the past. You might have forgotten. I sure as fuck haven't. So, but as far as like, until I had to stop to focus on uni, I had already shown people how much I was capable of music-wise in like half a year, 2 years, basically. I think it would have been worse. I would have literally killed off certain people from school if I had started making money from music too. The next step would have been like shows, and that, like, my boy Steph was making music. He was already on stages performing. I probably had enough clout and confidence in my DIY nature back then to start doing my own thing and organizing everything on my own from scratch, without doing road on the side, without, I can't tell you obviously how I've always had money and never had a job back then, wasn't on the road like that. Wink. But I promise you, I've always had money. I've always found a way. Then that's a story for when I die. People finally realize decades later that, like, oh, that's how he was doing it all this time. For now, we keeping it hush hush, wink wink. 2013 times, the emergence of Afrobeats, not emergence, maybe more popularization of Afrobeats to a point where I think I was considering it, but did well to just stick to my niche. I'm not gonna lie, and back in 2018, I had a few Afro swing joints here and there that never came out. Probably backed up in one of my old folders on Google Drive. I've always dabbled kind of in a couple of other genres, to be fair, but for the most part, it's been a grime thing. I'm onto different genres now, though. I'm in, and like even different languages now as a newer version of myself. But um, put on for grime for as long as I thought I needed to, and for as long as it felt authentic to who I am as a person. You see it. Like as someone who got into grime properly as a fan of like the lyrical, skippy, multi-syllable wordplay grime era, the Game Over remix era, the idolizing every single younger of 2007, that era, and through them creating this grime alter ego version of myself on a homage tip that people fuck with. My favorite part of this journey was when I was literally meeting face to face the grime MCs that were relevant at the time, and it was like I must have binge watched 1,000 of your freestyle tunes out on YouTube, and I've now won this Red Bull Culture Clash competition, and I get to meet you face to face. Or I'm in central London with family, and I run into another like grime MC face to face. Or because I'm so deeply invested in the producer world as Lefty Pro, I randomly spot Bless Beats walking back from like shopping in North Finchley, but like I'm the only 18-year-old that cares enough to, because I'm in that world, to know who he is and why he's so important, type of thing. On the topic of being 18, so this is where I talk about the transition from music journey to pickup journey slash uni, we'll say. So from the separation of what I believe should have been or could have been a younger Euro, younger SAS, whatever me, Mugs, and a couple of other people were trying to set up around them times. It was like summer 2014. If I'm not 13 to 14, if I'm not roaming around Finchley, I'm roaming around Haringey with my Muzzy lot, or Coldfall lot, or Tottenham lot. The event I got brought to when it was Seth performing on stage. There was one in Camden that I missed, and another one in Seven Sisters that I should have gotten on stage to do, but just felt that the bars weren't there. The stage, no, the bars were there. The stage presence definitely wasn't. But big up Seth, he got out there. He did his thing. I remember it well. But yeah, as far as my people from my area starting a whole collective, there was little to no organization, and it was like you got one person kind of doing music on road and road on the side, and you got me juggling music in school. Then you got another person not taking it that seriously, and then another person that knows they're too smart to bother with anything creative. So we all went on to have different paths. Essentially, it was better for me during them times to probably move more on my own in my area anyway, and worst case work with people from other ends, knowing I would have gotten a lot further doing so. I was just more like, if people from my area want to work, I'm on working, because I was on the way to being the guy that supplies beats for everyone and that. But the people that I knew that had it in them, they weren't fully on music, and the oldest from Grange, they didn't know me. I guess I realized as well that the more I was better off siding with people from my area around them times, as someone who happened to live there, that everyone kind of gelled on with. I was fortunate enough to have man like that on my back when it came to dealing with people from secondary school that had a problem with me and probably would have tried to do something to me, or treat me a certain way if it weren't for people I knew from ends, kind of thing. Like when I started doing music and certain people from Fort, they had a say on it. As much as I didn't want to be one of them guys to rely on like, I know such and such, my hand was forced. I had to get to a point of reminding people that I'm from a certain place. I'm dead. Now I'm playing, but like affiliated with certain people. And then all of a sudden after that, I was like, oh, he thinks he's bad and untouchable. When really and truly, all I did was defend myself against people that were trying to pick fights with me. You know, I just defended myself better than you you trying to attack me, like, and I mean every other day, bro. Like I let some dumb comment about me slide until I got to a point where it was like enough is enough, like, and then I had to show it, and I really had to show it to people that like, yo, me making a conscious choice not to come for you and give you what you deserve don't mean I can't get other people to do it for me, because unfortunately, that's the language that the vast majority of this dumb world understands. Like, I was the guy that people would come back with stories to about these next dickheads from school. I had so much things on people, and because whenever I saw them in real life, I kept it mannerful. Regardless of what I knew, I kept it mannerful. They thought they could chuck it, like people from my area telling me so and so tried it. I had him shitting himself, or I stuck it on my man when he tried it. If he ever opens his mouth again, let me know, etc., etc., etc. Like, man that would hear my music and call it shit, but I'm easy. But when you try it with someone else from my area, and they threaten to come to Southland Gates to shank you, you don't want to come out the building. Like what's going on? Like, man, I'm lucky I had more patience, honestly. That, and just me being a good-hearted person naturally. Um, but music helped me in the sense of me putting off my area, obviously, and getting people off my back to where like it had become a thing of now of like, yo, Carl's putting on for us and he's one of us, you can't touch him. Um, Obviously, it's not meant that nobody's tried, um, but it was like, at least then it was like, those of you who aren't about this, stay in your corner and just let the real bad peoples be bad peoples. For the most part, it was getting harder and harder to do something to me, which I liked. Um, yeah, people, what am I saying? People really started to turn on me though at random times, because at the time it was like, they looked at it like he's obviously going to make something of himself, so we'll make life just a tad more difficult for him. Everybody wanted some sort of like involvement into making like getting a stripe of me, almost to the point where like loser year 9 chicks, when I'm in year 11 at the mid stages of producer career, like during the times where I would have put out my first EP, year 9 chicks that got battered by Grange niggas or were getting punched up by Grange niggas with nothing better to do were trying to like please ops by filling them in with like information about me and like where I'm chilling so they can do me something. Probably because they saw it as like I'm so up my own ass and I'm thinking I'm gonna be so big and successful, and I'm so and so's brother and we're both doing well in our own right. And I'm making Facebook statuses saying certain man from school will die nothing, and they know, or with these girls in particular, just treating them for, I think I called them young skets in training or something along those lines. And to add me to the list of people from school who already didn't respect or like them, it was like a lot of people, female losers and male losers included, saw it as, I'm not gonna take it and have it from Carl too. But even Carl, quote unquote, is doing better than you, and you're chucking it. So of course I'm gonna dish it back. But I remember though, when I started coming out of the block, and just because Mogs was on road and Mogs knew man around the area better than me, that whole period of like late 2012 to early mid 2014 when we started chilling together, and he showed me the ends more. It was like I was at his house after college, and we'd peep people from the school giving us lip or trying to give me shit. And I remember one particular occasion where like I didn't even ask him to do it, but I mentioned someone from school troubling me or chatting shit, and he basically outed the person and made him apologize type of thing. So it was like a lot of people started to look at it like cousin Neek, which I'm not, but he's with them, he's one of them. Like, I've been in bad situations where people wish they could do me something, but so and so's there or whatever. Around the same time as well, where I've started to build more character, as knowing that I can't always rely on a friend to bail me out of a situation, but just learning from whoever and whatever's around me, so that I know, so that I can do something on my own type of thing, which helped me a lot later during my time at uni when man tried it with me. Um, I loved how like a lot of people always pretended they didn't know who I was affiliating myself with, rather. I always loved to pay attention to things like that. The reason you can't touch me, but you're turning a blind eye whenever he's around. You man turn idiots. And all of a sudden you're so polite and mannerful and respectful. You soft and mushy sap. Anyway, and I do stress, with me, it was never about trying to be bad. I was literally begging people every single day to just let me do my thing in peace. But certain people with their fucking egos, like raw. I held up card and he's acting like he's too good for me. You're bare rude. When I say hello, you better say hello back. So you would have hooked me up for a hello. What the hell? But then when I show you who's around me, will you still try to force? Will you still try to force me to say hello to you? And then I don't think you will. So, settle yourself, my guy. I give my energy to who I damn please, my guy. So then when threatening doesn't work, they troll or play victims or start making up their faces, screwing their faces like you've touched a female family member of theirs or something crazy, something that doesn't concern somebody that's not concerned about you. You have such a problem with me not giving you the acknowledgement you feel you deserve, the loser that you are. And it's for the same reasons, the same man that weren't showing me love before, want to complain about me not returning the favor. As for the man that always showed love or that I was friends with before that, it was love then, it's love now. It always has been. It always has been. Even with people like, I had a friend from school named Mache who I was Facebook and notes clashing with. He was a part of the list along with me, Seth, and another guy named T-Dot. um, I clashed everyone and thrashed everyone. The only person that I would say was better than me was Seth in terms of what he was saying lyrically and what I was saying, but I just made it sound better because flow and style wise, the flow and style I was there. I guess for people like Machi, they looked at it like Machi was a smart kid in school, so I'm sure he's gone on to do much better in life. But like with people like that, one thing I never got was um that they're scorning and jeering at me for sticking to music, even though you were trying it and it flopped for you, and I did it and it worked for me. Like I remember seeing him again some years later, and I already knew he probably still had some animosity towards me because of it. But obviously, we're talking 14 to 17 years old. Everyone's gone on to do well for themselves now, I'm sure. But like, I find it interesting though how everybody went from trying to pursue a passion to this is Carl from school who's better than me at this thing that I was trying to do. I'm gonna clown him for him because he's done it and he's done it better than me. You know, if I was to tell you the long list of people that I've proven wrong or outdone or exceeded and how they've tried to flip the script in their heads, like it never really meant, there was never a time where it meant something to them. You don't understand what I mean, you know? When I say, that's what I mean when I say like, I love to see the way people switch up, choose their tune and think you've forgotten because they're trying to forget basically. Um, but yeah, no, I've bruised a lot of egos in my fun-filled adolescence. Last I heard of Mache, he went to Woodhouse College, great college. I know a girl from uni that went there too. I know from hanging around him with him that as a kid that he's smart. So undoubtedly, he will have grown and gone on to do well for himself. I'm sure of it. It did me a lot of good considering a lot of the odds initially being stacked against me to be able to to turn my fate around as somebody who felt like everybody around him was just desperately trying to hold him and drag him down socially, goals wise, everything. I got a lot of respect from a lot of people that were deemed cooler than me, which was what I wanted. Got to play catch up with my more sociable friends who were already outliving their lives as late teens. Love from people that I haven't even spoken to in years. Love from people that I felt like surprised that they would even show me love, but they did. Where like now, sometimes I have to remind myself that like no matter how many enemies I feel I've made, there's definitely more love for me to experience on the other side if I allow myself to on the beautiful side of Haringey whenever I feel the desire for nostalgia. I remember being in Crouching and not too long ago, and it bringing back memories of the days of being sexually molested by Hornsey School for Girls. Love though, nah. Fast forward 3 years later, I get accepted into King's College London of all unis. I remember my choices at the time were like I didn't want to go uni because no, I didn't want to go uni, so I picked random ones like Greenwich and shit at first. Then after an intense quarreling session with parents, we decided on UCL, Queen Mary, and King's. Got into King's to study French, Spanish, French and Spanish, which I then changed to French only here. During them times, they were on some like, if you fuck up your degree on purpose because you don't want to go to uni, and I have told you to put this music shit on hold, you will never see the light of day again. Whatever, whatever. Did as they told me to do. Still, I'm gonna talk about my experience at uni at King's specifically, just on some like. First of all, I've always liked those YouTube videos about people's first year experiences and kind of wish I'd done my own. But just for the current 19, 20-year-old, that's where I was 10 years ago, that could potentially learn something, I guess. It's entertaining anyway. Interesting. It's interesting. My perspective on my experience. You might want to hear it. You might not. Things that you might need to consider here first. Real life lessons that you'll come out into the real world with, more prepared kind of thing. I know there's some late teen, early 20-something-year-old that's similar to me, that needs to learn from me and do better than I did, please. I'm talking to that for that person's respectfully. Um, you know, swearing by oath to tell the truth and nothing but the truth without exaggerating or trying to make me look better or paint myself in the better light. I'm too real for that. So I'll talk about why, because it was a life-changing experience. Coming from where I've come from, my life changed radically. So there was a massive plus side, but also a massive downside. To make it brief, from from getting into the uni, walking into the campus I studied in for the first time, um, going through the whole process, enrollment, picking modules, meeting up with our well, actually no, I remember the day we were meant to meet our original tutor. They were a no-show, who got replaced by somebody else for like a year, and I ended up not meeting the original tutor I was meant to meet until my return back to London from Paris. So basically, 2 years later, in those first 2 years, I ended up, first of all, whenever I saw her, because in first year I was still living with parents, so didn't really um experience uni life like that until I started joining societies. But yeah, first year ended up not reaching out to as many um, professors, lecturers, tutors with any issue that I had regarding French or language department. Regarding internships, I could look into apply for whatever from future work prospects. I kind of had to figure out a lot out myself and take initiative more and look for opportunities to grab at the right time. Like, prestigious name aside, I look back at my experience at King's, like I look at it like a uni that was just really good at looking better than it was, as far as the help we were actually receiving. That being said, it's really up to you to like. I kind of felt like what they were trying to prepare us for during last year of college was basically what I had to realize by the time I got to second semester in first year, where basically our tutors in year 13 started to fall back, and it was like, you're gonna have to go out of your way to ask for it, arrange shit yourself, turn up, no baby and type of thing. Except it's that, and you have to make the moves that you have to make in accordance with your personal career goals. A brutal shock, I guess, for whoever was still stuck in that year 13 mind frame coming into campus. I knew one or two students pretty much opted out before they bailed before the end of the first semester, or they switched their course, or decided, yeah, well, you know what, a semester abroad, a year abroad in another country might not be worth all the hype around it. I figured that, obviously with my tight schedule due to the other things I had going on, if I just did enough work, if I did the work that I needed to do, to pass in year one, um, so that the 6 months I spend in another country are more smooth sailing, and I have adventures that I can report to people with in the form of podcasts. um, just bust my ass. The plan was bust my ass for the whole of year one and half of year two. I would say I did the that I did the best that I could with the cards I was given, and I guess me deciding to have a limited supportive cast of helpers due to the situation that I was in, family wise, personal goals wise, and social life wise, first thing I would say to give back knowledge from my experience is looking into like you're in uni studying whatever you're studying, but if money's your goal and the degree you're reading isn't really helping with that, just remember that the debt that you come out of leaving uni with with after graduating has to be worth it. Um, Although it's probably a lot less now, but still, and as well, like I had a bit too much personally. I had a bit too much going on. Managed to prioritize according to what was important to me back then. But like I was still dabbling with music, with friends from school, contemplating starting like the whole pickup business. I was dancing. I was a choreographer during uni. Yeah, so yeah, school friends trying to like help me music career wise from London when at one point I wasn't even local. So know your priorities. Know what your priorities are. Never lose sight of the end goal. You know. So when it got to my second year at uni now, at that point, never mind the fact that the work ethic, and student wise, the uni that they had sent us to was a literal farce compared to King's. Basically, for the first few months, because there were there were 5 or 6 of us, I think, joining the University of London in Paris law as Russell Group students for the first few months. 5 out of 6, apart from me, didn't want to do. They didn't want anything to do with the ULIP block. Basically, like I ended up just coming through, running around ULIP like a little girl crazed KCL Gunnosaurus, but on a fun loving tip, and I was so cool. And I was cool, so I was likable. Like, do you mean like for the most part, whenever I wasn't tail chasing and getting like ruffling feathers for it, it was interesting to see how at first a lot of them assumed that we all would have been extremely stuck up and just face down in books on some like intellectual hermit thing. Then I just came through as the most relatable and like working but play hard in the fuck out of Paris, mainly because it's like even then, I still looked at it like, you man don't know where I'm coming from, and everything that I'm doing, every adventure I'm embarking on is to report it to my prospecting headquarters, really and truly. Like, I'm just not gonna focus. I ain't dumb, but not even that. But like, I work hard because that's what we do. These men were on some like, this was my best choice out of 2 other bin unis, or I don't know what the fuck I want to do with my life. It was my first time actually. How can I say, experiencing lack of ambition, granted by people who were in a position not to be so ambitious, to not to have big dreams to work towards, because some of them had money anyway. I guess it meant that as somebody who's always put in a ghastly, unhealthy amount of pressure to do well, it was the first time since school, music grind, and childhood dream chasing that I found myself kind of chilling, which never really lasted long anyway. I don't think I will really ever have that in me, despite having a lot of leeway to faff around and make up for a military like kidulthood I'm playing. But yeah, like I guess for the most part, societies at Kings were they were a lot more informative and serious, and at ULIP it was more socialize, make yourself known, have a good time, fuck about, be a good time, run along and explore Paris with your new course mates. But I guess I was a bit more flexible to do so than the more quote unquote serious KCL student. I even got to visit family around the suburbs of the capital during that time too. So coming back from semester abroad, I really had to. I feel that I made do with a much more narrow-minded tutor that was neither as pleasant or as helpful or as understanding as Dr. Bilecki, which was the name of my main one. Shout outs to her though. She was one of my favorite lecturers, and I had the little butchers at like some of her previous achievements before teaching at King's. She got her degree from like for French and English at Oxford, then from that to masters to PhDs to, I guess, moving and studying in London. The other one we're not going to name because I don't rate her. I hate her guts. I don't remember her. I had to put up with with a much less professional one that kept banging on about the way that I wear my hair, and it reminded her of her daughter. Just typical ignorance, like to say rocking braids, twists, or a braid bun makes you feminine, whatever. Mind you, this was not even late 2010s, and you're talking like that. Real weirdo. You know what though? Like going to uni, being forced into uni in true strict African parents' fashion, it fucked me in terms of my degree. It didn't help me at all, which with the work I wanted to get into. The prestige of the uni did, perhaps, and I guess the fact that I had experience in translation before, during, and after end of BA, but not the course itself. I spent 3 years learning about like French history, philosophy, literature, film, only to find work around um, people as I came out of KCL who are nowhere near as cultured as I am. It is what it is. But there were some plus sides too, like mainly people I met in societies, gems being dropped by everybody from people my age, bright young sparks, to the older whiz kids that I was just taking in all at once. We had a few famous people give lectures or come to uni for society events. People like Akala, Russell Brand, just dropping gems to us as 20 something year olds, just trying to soak up as much game as possible. I got to connect with other like-minded society members that were, I guess, in their beginning stages of building their brands to come out um, of uni with their uni and extra money, just sharing the right positive energy and mindset with people who were equally as confident with enough self-belief. um that done a lot for me, coming from the environment that I came from, where like you're finally surrounded by people who see potential in you and share the same level of ambition. And I feel like it's one of the things that, like, what I feel more than anything prepared me for tackling on my own business venture and figuring out bare things on my own, ways to make money from it all on my own, and understanding the psychology of people on my own. Three things during that period that gave me the confidence to kickstart pickup artists, coaching business as well. Obviously, as the experiences um, that I had with women, because I was reading in my prime women wise around 20, 21 years old, and people hate when I say shit like that. I know, and they find it cringe. They see I'm wet or moist, but when I say it, but it's true. So why wouldn't I? But really and truly, and I hate to keep banging on about this, but I very quickly realized, albeit sticking it through, I realized that I didn't actually have to, for the kind of work that I was looking at language wise. I realized quickly that my degree wasn't at all going to help me. Connections aside, with networking aside, but I networked by accident, really and truly, because in my pickup pursuit, the universe guided me and allowed me to fall into the hands of people who found me so likable that they handed out a couple of jobs for me here and there. From translating for games to ending my degree being flew out to Belgium for a translation gig. Uh, and with the coaching staff, man from across the pond trying to fly me out of Miami to teach them game. Like, I spent a lot of money frivolously that I guess should have thought long term for more, or thought about ridding the liabilities first, maybe. Finesse the fuck out of my 3 years at KCL, hold tight student finance. From student finance money to money tutoring French, to coaching people at my uni, to saving up um, money from grants and loans, even though I shouldn't have. Kidding. Like, I was very tactical. I didn't just splash like an idiot. Actually, that's not true. I had fun. I had fun, but I was responsible. I had fun, but I was responsible. I used money to sort out personal health problems, helped family out when I could, because I could finally afford to. I was still in the ends, but man, well, mentally, not physically, but even then, like, man would have seen me switch up the wardrobe. Man would have seen me switch up the wardrobe completely on some, like, new car, who this, thinking I'm kicked off, thinking and thinking like I'm just splashing stupidly. But no, I held back from it on a lot of occasions. It was always like priorities first, then personal leisure. Do you know what I mean? 2015 to 17 times, man. But I still, I made shit happen to my standards, and everyone would say that what I'm about to say, looking back at their experiences. But I know I had opportunities to like for business to make more money with other students that honestly, looking back, I didn't fully grab. But probably because them times it was like uni, work life aside, I was building my brand, and the uni that I went to was my training ground for what was to come the moment I'm out of uni. I wasn't just an in and out of lectures, antisocial type of student. I even learned, I was even teaching myself other languages during those times. I think me not being so involved in other people's lives was because I did have, whilst people still knew of me, I did leave some level of equivocation behind my name so that I could actually make my plans work the way that I had envisioned it. You know, the bigger picture, the long-term vision. So yeah, no, interesting experience. I started understanding how in universities work because of my experience. Like, it's such a weird thing to say, but like, uni taught me how to sell something to people and manipulate, or rather like how to influence people into buying, I guess, selling people a lifestyle, a desired lifestyle, and like, why certain people think, those who think for themselves anyway, run around saying uni's a scam, etc., etc. I don't think it's so much whether it's a scam or not. It's more like, know what you're getting in, know what you're getting in there. If you're the type that's like blind, that was led by the blind without much ambition or foresight as far as what you feel your next move is or should be career-wise, prospect-wise, late teens to 20s going onwards, you're fucking yourself by not like by getting into something, not having done enough research, which is how you end up being depressed, suicidal. I know like one girl from my course that ended her life thinking KCL was her like plateau, if you will. You always got to plan and think ahead. As someone from the place that I come from, socially, and like the way I know the Western world sees me, I'm in a different environment when I'm in Kings, and I'm coming out deciding that what I can pick out, so that essentially I never have to live in the real world in struggle ever again, type of thing. Because I've had enough of hardship, so, you know. So yeah, got to learn more and earn more. Didn't do too much traveling on a personal leisure tip. I got to sort out a lot of things in my life and gained the knowledge to protect me from a lot of things in my life that I wouldn't have been able to do otherwise if it weren't for Kings, if I didn't learn from people more educated and intelligent but more sheltered than me. So essentially, I found my way out. You know, walking around halls and campuses where some of your famous whoever's breathed in and studied at one point. You know, getting to dance. I got to choreograph, catwalk, and dance. Perform twice in the Greenwood Theatre, in the same uni where the likes of Justin Young, Farrah Storr, Dina Asher Smith, our current Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, would have set foot, juggling French culture and being involved in societies as a 19-year-old who at first was living with parents, as someone who didn't even, it's like I was about, but I was known all over the campus for sure. Like the times when I made an appearance in some of the societies, fucking in ACS, were enough to have an impact on people. Like, for example, in second year, like a whole year had gone. I was on my semester abroad in Paris, and man is still chatting about me in the UK, like, you know. But no, there's the scam part. I have a real gabbers mentality. I'm not gonna lie. But the scam part, the only thing that I would say I felt I was conned by with the uni experience was the dream that I was sold maybe before attending, or maybe, but like everyone else though, or like most people, or maybe like understanding now as my previous world, because before uni was just the estate, prospecting, whatever, understanding that in the bigger world there's a bigger game that's being played, and how like I'm literally just a pawn, and me changing my life or turning my life around doesn't really mean anything, and all of the pain that I went through doesn't really mean anything. I start to look at it like that in order to help me as far as like networking with people around final year. I started to understand like who I am to the world and how to operate with people's perception of me rather than who I think I am or even know I am. Because ultimately, if if we're thinking about the greater game being played, neither matter. Even the mental torment that I guess we all as 22 year olds put ourselves through, like to come out of our situations, meet family expectations, when you're the kid that's responsible for turning everybody else's life around, or the type with the chip on their shoulder that has something to prove, that like wanted to one up their peers turned enemies, like some like students, certain students with side hustles posting on social media about buying houses they can't even afford just to flex. um I say all of this to say that like my why over time was I intensified, my impetus had switched, the motivation switched, the priority switch. Eventually obviously got to a point where I burned out and couldn't cope anymore, obviously being that young. So like, but like I have a different out I had and have a different outlook now to anybody who like myself wasn't fully prepared for, or was rather learning as they went along about the real world, and probably felt like they fucked themselves embarking on this whole like uni experience. Like on one hand, my mindset is kind of like I said, game ain't based on sympathy, so I don't feel sorry for myself even. But I forgive myself to the point, where I finally understood what was going on and didn't act on it faster. But I guess before that, like I empathize. I related to the feeling of I was a fresher, feeling like I was dead, not contemplating suicide, but definitely at one point felt depressed. Definitely felt like, damn, like there's more to it than that. There's more to it than like what I was told. I was told to work hard and study my entire life, and told that if I do A, B, C, X, Y, and Z, everything will work out for me. And now it's like I understand why some students in my year who weren't strong enough, rest in peace, just decided to put an end to it all. I don't even know. Like I got to a point in final year of realizing a bit earlier than a lot of people that, hold on, like I've been through real life shit that's worse than this. I'm not gonna kill myself over these fucking people that don't even know me. Then the man stress out or think I'm brave because they've never lived in or aren't built for the real world. But I kind of saw a bit of it first. Like before them, like when I graduated, um, first of all, I didn't even turn up. But yeah, when I left uni, I remember even leaving one exam hall like an hour early on some like fuck this shit, like two fellow course mates getting onto me about it after exams, just on some like, oh my god, you're so brave, how are you gonna cope if you fail exams, how are you gonna cope if you fail unless you're that confident that you've got it in the bag, oh my god, oh my god. And it like in my head it's like, bro, you must think I give a fuck about any of this stuff to tolerate. Like if it were up to me and I didn't believe in sticking things through, I would have opted out summer 2015. Like I don't care about any of this. I don't care about this. Like people think you don't know the place that man I come from before this. Like, do you mean, remember, considering that alone, I've already in my head I've already made it. I'm just going for more because why not? But like, if something is too much for me, it's too much for me. As soon as exams were done, I started Snapchatting freedom. Like I didn't give a damn. Like I care. Like in my head at the time, it was like, whether I get a first or third, nigga, I don't give you need any of this shit anyway. I'm feeling worse because of it. So this can't be my idea of fucking success that I used to dream about from young. And it's not like I didn't have other options or potential business opportunities I couldn't venture into outside of this shit anyway. So, but yeah, uni as an ignorant, happy-go-lucky 19-year-old block kid changed my life, saved my life, and also fucked me. Because it was like I was never going to go back to what and who I was after all of that. Like because it absolutely it did not help me with job prospects at the end of it, because a lot of things was odds were stacked against me coming from where I've come from. uh, Added to timing, and then the fact that I didn't really want to be there. Um, so yeah, pros and cons, like anything, but forever grateful for the experience, because since then my mindset's changed. What I understand about the world has changed. I know how to not ever find myself in a situation where I hit the bottom of the barrel and it's infinite. All whilst dealing with music friends, or even friends from school that I no longer met eye to eye with, even though in their world, the music lot, I mean, they probably would have looked at it like I could have been on music and uni. So that particular friend that I refused to name essentially was trying to manage me whilst I was in Paris doing my whole thing, and he thought that I was still in the same mindset that we were in, putting out that Ain't Coming Down track I featured in when I was 18. So after the Ain't Coming Down track, I put out with a schoolmate, a music mate, no names, like I said. The reasoning, the vision behind it from my perspective was before then, all of my releases had been nothing but instrumentals, no vocals, no rapping, nothing. This was like we were going through a more mainstream, uplifting, daring, I'm Cayman, I'm on top of the world type of war chant in the form of a 3-minute singer rapper collaboration. I'd say in relation to my life specifically with that song, it was fitting in terms of me being 18 years old and having an extremely difficult year, both at home and during college, and essentially coming out of several negative situations victorious. The song that came out all in the midst of me finishing exams, getting to King's, going to prom where everybody's congratulating me, and yeah, like we post the song on Facebook and everyone loves it, type of thing. It was like a positive end to anybody that hated me prior, had issues with me prior, uh, doubted me during doubted me turning my life around, or changing my life, or like I said I would prior. One of the many times that I had spoke, or in this case rapped, my triumphant overcoming and defeat of trials and tribulations into existence, and finding myself in a safer predicament than juggling between uni music and crime, or just music and crime, or just being a complete sloth of society was wasting potential. So yeah, not a Spiff TV or Hood Anthem as such, because around that time my green P ring peeps were still in worse situations than me, and this tune basically meant this tune was like my way of saying goodbye to the block, my way of tapping out to a softer life. where like the new identity beyond just North London Cayman started to come out, and I just, me still chilling around childhood friends is more to show them that there's a different way, or it's my way of like trying to give back to them however I can, you know, finding my own individual way of getting respect from the ends without going down that route, and people applauding it. Like, I remember my guy Junior, that lived on the same block as me, that was probably a PT them times, same block as me, bigging me up, saying just keep pushing your head, keep pushing, head down, don't let nothing distract you, type of thing. Like, I like the position that I was in. I love the position that I was in as the good youth from the estate. I like that I was able to do that and still be respected by people without doing anything wild, without getting too caught up in repping, but still repping, if that makes sense. And because of that at that point, gallivanting in every postcode that starts with N on my gram journey, it would have been like, if I'm repping anything, I'm repping North London altogether, because I've been everywhere. I'm just a proper North London head. Crazy to think though, although around them times you would have been witnessing the beginning stages of the evolution. I came out of spring 2014 more confident, because a lot of things around me were changing fast. I was making a lot of right moves, so it was like, for those that didn't think anything of me or disliked me, this is your this was my official suck on that, suck it. Look at me now in such a short period of time too. Very random in the way that I did it too. I guess because again, I'm never somebody that addresses shit. I just do shit and you find out on the day. The verse on that song I made, I made it just write lyrics like I always do and figured it fit with the topic of the song. No. Half of it was written the day I got contacted about the song. The other half, the catchy note of a kid alive, is a part I wrote probably a year before, but it fit. It fit, and I wanted something on there that was kind of catchy that I knew people would repeat. It fit my music personality as a kid who preaches an attitude of be yourself, be the best at it. Don't let people hold you down. Speak your truth, rise above everything. It's my most and favorite positive track out today. Probably like where there's still the competitive nature in me, but with a hint of empowerment for whoever to relate, whoever can relate. And it was important. It was an important track for me to put out during them times because like about 11 months before that, and during those 11 months, I was going through a whole heap of problems in general from the beginning of music to then, to be fair. But like specifically on the topic of haters, specifically those who would actually go out their way to do something to me physically to try to stop me from achieving my goals. I've had two incidents. One not so serious because they were punks, but another one with a family member trying to kill me. A family member that tried to kill me over music. I was 17 years old, going on 18, running away from home because family environment was neither safe or supportive or my ambitions. I look back and I have a slight suspicion that my good friend, quote unquote, good childhood friend Gabriel snaked me as he let me stay at his when I decided I wouldn't come back home to people trying to break me essentially because they found me as soon as I headed back. They found me as soon as I headed back. So hey, a dad, hate a frustrated 40-something-year-old dad can't get to grips with the fact that his own son would try to run away from him and doesn't respect him, catches me slipping and tries to, because this is beyond parental punishment. A nigga really tried to kill me and failed, and got his karma in the end. Rest in peace, though. Bangs on the door of childhood friends, parents, F's and blinds and threatens. On another occasion, I heard something crazy, like something about them, him and Gabriel basically repeating that, like my dad pulling up to where my friend lived on a hype, and Gabriel trying to stab my dad with a screwdriver and or whipping his dick out, some weird shit. Good riddance to my dad. He's dead now. Good riddance. Calm as a bitch, like I said. But Mugs had the whole of Grange and couple people from school on a hide and seek thing when I was planning my escape out the block. I was a brave 17-year-old in that, like, and that without getting into the terrible relationship that I've had with my family. In a normal parent's mind, at that point, one would have understood that you pushed your kid to a point where he's completely had enough of you, but unfortunately, in an egotistical, narcissistic, delusional, failed musician of a father figure's mind who thinks he can do no wrong, it's just like, nah, this kid is just acting up, and on top of that, how dare he act up with me of all people, etc., etc., etc. Nevertheless, I survived that and then some. He unfortunately died in hospital with none of his children visiting him. That let me know I'm here for a real reason, to quote one of my favorite rappers, Curtis Jackson's Many Men. Soul survivor type shit, you get me? Because I'm a real guy. I'll say that the beating was so bad, without getting graphic, the beating was so bad, civilians that walked past were too scared of intervening. Well, that, and we're also in a state where nobody really cares like that, because I guess shit like that happens every other day. So, funny thing is, I would have been gone out of the ring. I was so close. It was mad early in the morning. Soon as I come out of Muggs's yard, headed on my way to the bus station on East End Road, minutes away from the ring, to probably go to like North Finchley, then Wood Green. I had a flyer for some church event in Wood Green, and like as I'm on my way, just on my way, there's a nigga hiding behind a bush, jumping out of it like some deranged fox, grabbing me. Like, and I feel with an experience like that, you turn into like the hyper vigilant type going onwards. Like I'm not gonna lie, especially later on in life, around 2019 times, because them times I was really on the road, I was extra careful, you know. Oddly enough, shit like that prepared me for shit later on. But yeah, like over music and their own personal frustrations, of all the people in school that had nothing but pure venom regarding me and my career prospects and dream chasing nature. It was my own people trying to break me completely. So at that point, after sneaking out for a drink with mates, I started thinking raw, like I could get used to a life without any of this nonsense and madness, period. Started looking at how I can get a job and disappear. Headed back to drop the intercom keys and leave for good. Whole weekend I'm gone. I got my friend Mugs trying to reason with me to stay, and I'm just on some like, nah, I got no reason to, bro. Like in my head, they violated. My parents had took it to beyond the level anybody else would have or should have. So it was like, no, I'm done with them. I'm done with them. And there was more before that. So in my head, at that point, it would have been like, I'm having fun with the man then for the last time ever. Then nobody's ever seen me again. Because the reaction alone that I got for wanting to leave, for leaving the house, never mind if I was a normal teenager in a normal family household that doesn't threaten to or try to kill people for disagreeing, and it was the typical story of a bratty kid who just wanted to party with friends, which it wasn't. There was more. There was obviously more to it. The reaction alone should show anyone that this isn't an environment I'm supposed to be staying in. But we moved though, still alive, still thriving. We found the all-knowing. I always to this day that day that when that happened, I do feel like something in me literally died. Um, it was almost like the death of Cayman, and I guess potential birth of uni's young Carl. You see, now with the whole young Carl thing, oh gosh, I went with it. Little uni gimmick. Wish I didn't in the end, but to the people that would have known me longer before uni, they saw it as me like reinventing myself for the sake of uni to make up for school in uni. But the truth of the matter is, I fell into the trap of reinventing, rebranding myself. You know, I fell into the trap of a random girl at the beginning of their first event, ACS homecoming, not homecoming, annual greet, whatever event is called. A random girl in the year above anointed me to be like the ACS fun loving character slash fuck boy or whatever. And like from that moment on, it sparked the whole beginning of that young Carl bullshit. Like one person said it, then everyone, well, it stuck obviously, which it didn't, but because it forced me to play a game. Because before that, I came to this uni on the mindset of just like, I'm on my self development, I'm building my confidence, and everything from the work I put in school wise to now is happening naturally as it should. While I continue to build my confidence, but it was like hooking up wise, I was more than okay to do that discreetly, but now it's like I have to go from stripping myself of the persona in secondary to being stuck playing a game where I'm doing the same in uni now. Even if this one's getting me nyash, even if even if this one is working to my advantage, is what I meant to say. I hate being forced to play a game though, because it's like I'm not trying to be controlled, good or bad, and on top of that, and people are so sly during the first stages where like at first they're respectful because they don't know you. It didn't last too long before I was exploited for my good-hearted nature, and the elders were already trying to like mold me into like their version of me. On some like, yeah, we'll roll up to events together. You're part of us now. On some like ACS Illuminati vibes, like experiences where you look back at your your younger 19-year-old self and think like the current 30-year-old me would never let somebody chat shit to me like that. Even if I had respect for them as a person and their achievements, I give a fuck about you're older and smarter than me. So why did like by the end of like final year, to be honest, me being me, I was done with letting certain things slide from people anyway. It didn't last too long. But yeah, looking back, it felt like certain Nigers and southwestern Anglophone Cameroonians just let their power, quote unquote, get to their head. I always had a bit more wisdom, even as a young buck, to maneuver around certain situations. At the same time, I can't pretend I wasn't inspired by a lot of the older lot. Remember, during those times, because I'm in undercover hitch seduction mode, I peep everything from style to outer game to inner game and ways that the third years interacted to trigger the attraction switches of the female species. As a true student and now teacher of seduction, I was inspired by everybody's individuality, everybody's story, whether they came to uni being like that or grew to become like that. If I could go back in time, I wouldn't have done my first stage performance as an actor. I'd say it was more that um, I had to, as one of the most popular and promising freshers at the time, an opportunity that I honestly felt I hit and miss, but we learned. Yeah, no, I wish I hadn't done a culture shock performance during my first year, at least. Not as the main protagonist anyway, but that ended up happening. Like me being the main protagonist ended up happening just because a lot of people were rooting for me. I got shown so much love at the beginning of the first semester. So I was an active member of ACS. I had the charisma, I had the confidence, I had something special that people took to. But by second semester, I was already like fucking up work wise, family on my case because I'm having fun, not so good at finding a balance between uni and social life. Ended up pissing off a lot of people because I was missing rehearsals for this ACS culture shock performance. So it was like people gave me the ball to shoot and I missed and I hit the goalpost basically. Like did check out the people, yeah. Like they looked at me like I didn't truly live up to their expectations of what I should have been. And so I very, very quickly found myself in a situation where people looked at me like I'm unserious, maybe. Not on cloud, but unserious, which I managed to flip around. But it didn't mean that like when I tried to run for committee, it was straight up fuck this guy on a revenge thing. But like I'll be real, the hype from AGM, my performance at Soul Night and Date Night and Winter Ball died out at that point, and I was starting to feel like I was losing love and a bit of my confidence. And I'm all in rehearsals, flopping lines that I got to learn last minute. Certain people are giving me stick. By the time we got to performing, obviously I did well, but boy, like I understand their anger. Like I'm not dumb. Um, but like looking back at me running for publicity officer as well, I desperately wish I could get those photos deleted somehow. I 100% would, because I remember how tense it was then for me that day. My first loss of many wins, mind you. I wasn't good at stomaching losses. Stomaching, like taking losses, and two, feelings of hatred from others. I look back and realized that because I was younger, part of me still hadn't figured out how to be confident in myself and my abilities, even when things are going wrong. Or you've got like people breathing heavy fire around you. Like I'm not number. I didn't know how to deal with not being number one at something, or like being beaten by somebody at something. I'm thankful for the experience as it showed me to never overestimate myself. I had a habit back then of very rapidly getting comfortable, which led me to doing the work just at the beginning stages, then feeling like, nah, I'm good now, which is what led to my downfall fall in the space of September 2014 to March 2015. Was that 6 months? Um, yeah, it taught me to develop a more of a mindset of start strong, finish strong. There's always more to do. Don't get gassed. Until character branding, uni character branding aside, that period would have been a lot easier if I didn't feel I was I constantly had to force this convivial, flirtatious teenage adult, especially when deep down I didn't feel like that 24/7. So it made no sense to act like that every day. If I had been a bit more, if I had done the work I needed to do without trying to become like everybody's friend on a more humble tip and more cautious tip for the snakes in the grass. Um, but you know, as one of your favorite Matrix Captain leaders once said, what happened happened the way it happened and couldn't have happened any other way. Onwards and upwards. At that point too, I think I had gotten so invested in uni life work, um, work wise socially that like um um work wise that there wasn't so much space for music. I'm not gonna lie, let alone catching up with school friends. I think I had written a couple of grime lyrics here and there during first year, but nothing of substance came out. I was wondering if I was starting to lose touch of my artistic side too during those times. Obviously not as I came back to it later on, but yeah, true say they tell you that if people can put you on a pedestal, they'll be equally as quick to take you off. I experienced that firsthand, and you know understood from now on that yo like in this game of uni, this little game of uni, no matter how much you see people smiling at you, everyone is standing on business first. It's a street business first thing. I couldn't get those particular photos of my campaign deleted. I got some other ones from 2 years later deleted because the president at the time he didn't take well to something that I said or did to him. Thought he could take a non-consensual photo of me as he has a habit of doing to try to embarrass me, and I ended up having to post dirt on his name publicly, like him and another accomplice, so that people would basically just learn to stop playing with me, like. And yeah, man, with the campaign, together photos gone for the public publicity officer thing. I mean, if it's just a case of like I don't like the fact that I lost, I think we can't win them all. Just have to get over myself, hold my head up on that one, and you know, learn from what went wrong and smash it the next time for a next opportunity. At the time, though, it just felt like so many people were watching, so many people that were important were watching me. Too many to for me to fuck up and make an ass of myself. But it happened. It is what it is. So yeah, no time for the music at that point. That was no longer my focus. Unfortunately too, which I should have done better. I should have done a lot better on that one, but no follow up with my music friend in terms of visuals for Ain't Coming Down track or release of said um Ain't Coming Down track. A lack of communication on my behalf, I admit. Granted, in hindsight, not on literally not on some like I just don't feel that I need to tell him. It's a bit of a twat thing to do, I must admit. Like my only focus at that point was to regain a win off a loss, um, which I was already trying to figure out how to do for next year of society events. I'm glad I lost because in the end I wouldn't have been able to juggle like social life, uni society, member life, etc. I used to message a girl that went and did it, and she vented me telling me how she felt like she couldn't cope sometimes. You know, the vibe from that moment on, the position I found myself, put myself from then was kind of like I didn't want to find myself being like the antisocial, hateful, frustrated character that I lost. That like kind of similar to like how I could have been at 17 in college because I was a lot smarter than that at that point. But perhaps, well, people knew me. My thing was more like people know me. I'm a roll through ACS, do the job that I have to do, be the person I need to be, and people like um but still keep my distance. You know, do uni, get girls, get around, but keep your distance, as far as not letting anybody potentially destroy the brand, like anything that doesn't fit with this brand persona that I create for uni. Because deep down, playing the long game, I was on a mission that I knew would pay off as I'd come out of uni with the whole pickup dating thing. there were two of us as freshers of the year trying to turn full-time committee member that kind of got fucked. Obviously drama and politics and ACS rivalries between girls fighting over the older guys within society will do that. And that's why I say, yeah, had I done like had I moved a certain way after losing, um, had I done like after my first year of ACS, if I had immediately went and disappeared, like and like it made people feel like I've been made people feel like I've been defeated and now I'm gonna go ghost and move anti, which is essentially what the older girl Tiffany in the year above me did when it happened to her, which I learned from when she told me. It would have looked like at this point I'm only anti ACS because I lost the election for publicity officer and now nobody's fucking with me. But no, what separated me from her racist tweets from a non-black ACS student aside, member aside, um, what separated me from her was, I guess, manners and my attitude, and just, I don't know if this like 6 foot Vietnamese lass thought that because her whole game was, I'm an Oriental and I fuck with black people, it made her think she could act like she's got some sort of superiority over the rest of us niggas. I've seen a lot of people do that. Whether it's true or not, even yeah, if you're doing that in a society that's predominantly um, filled with predominantly black West Africans, and hence the name ACS, you're bound to ruffle feathers with the wrong person if you act a certain way, and find you're gonna find yourself in a situation where now it's a rivalry and they're plotting against you and you're plotting against them, and months go by and you end up crashing out calling the Ghanaian women of the society nigga this, nigga that. And because after that, after you've done what you've done, you've burned that main bridge, you've crossed that main line you shouldn't have, and exposed what you're really like when you're angry, the abhorrent venomous recurring thoughts, that show your true colors that you finally revealed. You know there's no way back into that, into mingling with anybody from, a lot of seemingly, because she wasn't the only one that clocked it, yeah. A lot of seemingly pro-black non-POCs, and just pro-black people that aren't black, because I can't really call an Oriental woman non-POC, but like an observation that I made them times, a lot of them did believe in their love that they show to black people, that the love that gets cancelled out by like their obvious superiority complex, but an obvious superiority complex that's obvious to everyone except them. In retrospect, Miss Tiff just gave me the vibe of like somebody who thought saying I fuck with black people was enough, or like I have black friends or I date black guys was enough. Like I have black friends that enable my behavior type of shit, basically. She thought she was enough, that was enough, that she was smarter than everybody in that society, and that at the very least, not even considering that, even if you're the smartest person in the world, people around her might learn from her and figure out what she's like. Like, I'm not surprised they backfired on her. Why do you want to? How could you have been able to? How are you going to be part of this society and call people niggas? Like online, she did the right thing to completely disperse after half a year into her degree. But in her defense, I mean, she secured an internship, got to travel around, got to travel to Paris like I did for her year abroad. When you look at it like that, I mean, from that perspective, what the hell is ACS anyway? What, it's just a society full of people that you thought you were better than and smarter than until they made you crash out online. But no, that yeah, I mean, you're better than them, but you can't stop yourself from gossiping and bitching about them in another country. Crazy work. When you've got obvious, it's obviously you've got more going for yourself, but it's just like, it's just the immaturity that makes me laugh. Like, you just can't hold your feelings. Like, even when I was younger than this chick, and I ate more disrespect than I should have without going mad on socials like she did. And it's funny because when we bucked up in Paris, we did both have a discussion about like our experiences dealing with the slithering treachery and deception of the ACS species, which I agree to a certain, I agree with to a certain extent. But like the realist that I am, I'm not going to look at a situation like I've done nothing wrong, like I didn't, like I'm full victim. You know what I mean? Like I was completely wrong. That's like, that's first off. Secondly, I look back and I know that the only reason she empathized with quote unquote me, or yeah, like related to, resonated with me, seeing people from that society for who they are, the snakes, the wolves in sheep's clothing, whatever, because it was only because they backfired on her, or rather because she was on the receiving end of it, knowing knowing her character. Like I do believe that first of all, as I get older, I feel like most people don't actually really hide who they are. That's first off. It's more that like we do tend to make exceptions depending on whether or not we're fond of people, or whether or not it benefits us. I'm sure that like when it didn't come knocking on her door, Miss Tiff didn't have any issues with a particular um ACS member being the way that they are, or do you know what I mean? Like so is there's a snake, be careful with this one, this, that, and a third. And aside from that, aside from whatever they did to tick you off, you that's supposed to be benevolent, or the one that like I guess watches over the innocent potential praise. How does online racial slur make you look any better than them? How anti and focused on yourself, quote unquote, were you? How able were you to see your true worth, quote unquote? Um, uh, you know, feeling like you're worth 10 of the snakes that done you dirty, were you when you were rolling with them first? What when you know and you did know what they were like, and decided to move with them anyway. That's the thing. And now they made you. Did you forget that they made you fresher of the year, and you had benefits, and they made you managed to be on community, and there was benefits from that? Like what attitude did you come with? Why is it that there's a reason that it's easier to swindle certain people more than others? And that's not saying that like being somebody that naturally sees the good in others is a bad thing, but there's a way to see the good in others, I think, and be intelligent or wise about it. But it's just, don't just make exceptions for people because it suits you. That is what I'm trying to get to, you know. And this is obviously them times were like 19, 20, 21, but even back then, when I didn't necessarily see eye to eye with somebody from ACS, I was never stupid enough to burn bridges with everyone else, or potentially put something hurtful out into social media that could offend parties that were not even involved. Like, you know, be a bit smarter than that. Like parties that were on your side. So like, things like that, and people like that just make me think, if you were dealt with differently, or if you were treated the way that you believe you should have been treated, you were worthy of being treated, you'd be moving differently too. So it's not sincere. Like, do you mean not every day bitching and comparing yourself to everyone? I'm telling you, like a lot of non-black ACS members, yeah, they did try to come into this society on an oppressor to oppressed vibe, and it got worse after 2016, 17 in that regard. For the most part, half of them came in thinking they were gonna like dominate black people, and then it backfired on them, when the rest of us, quote unquote, were quote unquote smart enough to eventually figure out what you're trying to do. Um, Probably what caused friction, because why are you screaming awareness of your white privilege and you're still trying to invade the black space full of Africans and Caribbeans, and discussing getting into discussions regarding our societal issues from an oppressor to oppressed standpoint. That means you're playing a game, thinking man is stupid, and it will benefit you. Like I said, Vietnamese or white, it's not enough to come in with that. I like black people, fuck with black people, dance like black people, date black people. It doesn't give you the right to be a part of certain discussions, or a pass for racial slur or anything. You're not being praised in all by somebody that understands what you're doing, that they would probably sick to their stomach dealing with you, and got revenge by playing the cards that they were dealt with, you know? Uh, but yeah, now you wouldn't believe how quickly certain people lose their ethics and principles once they're not met with whatever they feel they're deserving of or doing what she did. Where like you play half protective big sibling, half bully to the younger generation coming through, like that would help your case. Never mind, and I stress calling somebody who's respected in the society that done you dirty a nigger, as if you wish, as if you didn't wish you would have been there when they brought Stormzy to ACS or fucking Kojo funds next year, more to the list. Like I was vocal, yeah, like I am now. Was vocal about my problems with certain people or situations in ACS, but at least like I at least waited until I graduated to do so, or just never took things to the public. You know, the bigger picture of something, which is what I respect, like people who, no matter who they had differences or even a war of words with, the bigger picture of something as unique as ACS is to bring in newcomers into our culture as Black Brits living in the West. They can't be, as much as it was a thing before you, it will be a thing after you. As much as you may have taken something that's something said or done to you to heart, it can't just be about you and your feelings. This is something bigger than you. And for those of you that came into like uni, looking for graduate husband, graduate wife, complaining about fuck boy, you know, I'm some man knew what they were doing better than you and came with a game plan more than you. More, you just didn't come prepared. You know, there's levels to this thing. So is what it is. Going back to music, shout outs to Seth Ayers. Yeah, big up my guy Seth Ayers, who I think during them times, way before that even, was starting to have a thing for black girls. Um, um, nah, I don't think it would have been before uni. I think he's with a black woman now. I think he's dating a black woman now from what he's told me. But yeah, out to man like Swift, aka Seth Ayers. Man got rid of that tag swiftly, dead, and kept to his real name. First tune we done when we were 17. I don't remember when he got into singing as well, but he's just as talented with both. Last time we bucked up was late 2024 with another childhood friend of mine that passed away, unfortunately. But yeah, like Steph was like my original, like from when we started doing music around the same time, he had a little dynamic duo thing going on. We did, sorry. Similar styles, to be fair, when we met. We kind of spoke about how like musically we bounce off each other. He knows me well enough musically to spot out like even like certain influences from grime artists that he knew I listened to and potentially used to sound like back in the day. I feel like I sound like myself or whatever. Yeah. Um, what am I saying? What am I saying? I don't ever remember having a problem with Seth, which is good. As such, I like from secondary school days. I remember him being a lot more confident and outgoing than I was from school days, and like inspiring in me a lot because of it. I've told him this personally too. That's someone that like you know how like certain people you just want to see them do well because they're just real. Like I like real people, and I feel like from a kid, I was fortunate enough to be surrounded by real people, or like just naturally gravitated towards people that fit that description. I think it was like um knew each other from school, year 7, year 9, year 10, on a similar musical journey. And I guess the glue between the both of us was mutual friends who supported our musical journeys. I still keep in contact with him now, every now and again, type of thing. It was kind of crazy to run into him or get back to, I don't remember how I did it, but like we met up as much more grown versions of ourselves 2021 times. So like 25, 26 years old, he helped me out of a situation on some like, I've been there before. Reminisced and spoke about some of the shit we were dealing with from the stupid rich kids in school back in the day. But for the most part, it was a good catch up. It was a good catch up with one of the few people from the school that I know and rate and because I know what they're actually like versus public perception or whoever was chatting shit about them back in the day. But yeah, we had that one tune out. If I was still on grime, that's someone that I'd love to have like done a dual mixtape with or more collaborations with. Like Seth is hard lyrically and he's a better freestyler than I am. He's sick with it. But well, that and obviously he's got his own adult life now. I've got my own adult life now. When my dad was 30, he had a 4-year-old. I'm 30 as I write this, planning on how I'm gonna put a baby into the right woman to pop out by the end of this year, in early 27. You know, so and the like the little Facebook notes clash thing or clashes we had in science classes that were always on a that was always on a banter tip, like just frivolous 15, 16-year-old banter, like really big up Seth for life, man, my guy, like. But real one of a kind individual, even though nowadays he'll tell you that he's calmed down a lot, and seems to like want peace more, which is it's definitely good to see the growth in someone like that. Had a little gallus face too at one point. I remember as the late bloomer in my clique of friends, yeah. Like I learned from everybody around me, like every single one of my friends that was getting gal before me, innit? So Steph would have been one of them. I learned from him and more and worked my way into running through more Huns than a young Mulan. Yeah. So yeah, another witness to one of my fate's main secondary school grand beefs too, which we will get into next. And we'll probably run this off with. But yeah, the short-lived little feud with an MC who's no longer to be seen making music, oddly enough. Wonder what he's up to. Nah, I tell a lie, don't give a fuck. But yeah, like Mr. Shapston Co, Mr. Paul Shapston. I will say I don't know what started it, to be fair. I probably would have been bored looking for like people to clash uh live like 2011 times, when I knew that I was finally levels lyrically to head top even the older lot trying out this rapping thing. I sent for a man a couple of months before my first EP release, and I guess I touched the nerve so badly that a man came to rush me. So yeah, nah, true say, I got rushed over this at 16, and he used the hype of it. I used the hype of that to promote my music. So I put out my first instrumental EP 2011 and 2012 mixtape the same year. No, not next, the following year. Then Mess Westwood the same year, and then I started going in studio. Then first visuals, freestyle. You know the story, etc., etc. Fast one too. The best thing they should have done, people like Shaps should have done, was just ignore me them times, because I ended up surpassing them and faster too. But on the topic of me getting jumped, getting rushed, whatever, if you saw the way these grown 19, 20-year-olds were getting their fanny flaps wet over quote unquote riding out on mid-teens, and not even doing the job properly, and how they twisted and gassed up and overhyped the whole story, like as soon when it was done, it's like I wasn't even on badness them times, and you couldn't even come one up, bruv, like, or do me in properly. It was probably a thing of like, I felt bad for him, because it was probably a thing of him wanting to get his lick back at everyone else that was dissing him, saying he's shit that he couldn't do anything about, basically. Even his own dons, like his own people, on his own page. Um, so nah, yeah. Granted, in his eyes, I was probably an easier target, but you still flopped, because I didn't even. My name got bigger. I've met Grime MCs. I met Westwood. You didn't. I'm more relevant today in grime than you are, and so yeah, there was three of you grown adults for a little 16-year-old, and that's the thing. If your whole thing maybe is like, man are hating on you, or man aren't rating you, or like whatever, like that is not how you get ratings. You feel me? You just you you that's the how to get you get the ratings that you feel you deserve. You couldn't even deal with me one up on my own. Like man couldn't even come to get me one up. It was like one nigga in a moped, another one in a pedal bike, and then him. Like, And I'm on it still because it's like he was bragging to people that he made me quit music that never happened. I put out a tune same week, put out a whole damn EP, and got it promoted by people in grime the same week. And then when I got it promoted, you man peeped it, tried to cut my moves and flopped. Because Danny C don't care about you like that. You that's been promoting your tune on all grime related pages and even non-grime related pages and getting nowhere, and like versus me, that's 1 year in. I put out my one EP and got instant recognition. Like, you know, like what's going on here? Like, it's like you know, a man said he left me crying. I wasn't crying. A man said that I was a dead man walking, not a scratch on me. I held a few slaps. I'm not gonna lie. But he was with his two other mates, and that's where it ended. Man said he'd having pissed on myself. Nothing of the sort happened. Them lot, hear the story, yeah? Them lot were initially, they were delusional enough on a Facebook hype thing to message me saying that they were going to come up to, as people who aren't from the States, that they were threatening to pull up to an estate and shank me to find me. They ended up being they ended up being a lot smarter than that in the end, and they pulled up to Southland Gates instead. Because, like, bro, you roll up to an estate where people have been shot and died, and you're from them sides with lovely houses. Good luck to you, you know. But so what started it, I think, and this is me trying to remember, was a bit of like Facebook feuding. He had a tune out, he was promoting it. I probably said it was shit, and then massive run. He started banging on about him being better than me and comparing my debut MFTV freestyle as a 15-year-old with his friggin' whatchamacallit tune he made that in 1819. And then from that to us arranging a clash and him pussying out, but still saying that he's angry about what I said about him, I'm like, okay, well, I've actually got bars, and you think when you see me, you're gonna do me something, so I might as well knock you off lyrically. So done with this now. Fair love. His own guys, man. His own guys messaged me saying like, yo, you violated him lyrically, you pawed him lyrically. Like, come studio, bro. You're sick blood. When you're older, you're gonna you're gonna be 10 times better. Couple guys on the status even saying like, I'm raw. My man speaking a couple of truths. My man speaking a couple of truths. I never care about dummies that don't know about crime breading, by the way, but most people that witnessed that feed would have told you I murked, regardless of whatever happened afterwards. So, boom, bam, laced that tune there, done the tune during half term, October times, I believe. Half term is done, we're back in school, everybody's hyping up, piping up, gassed off the diss I did for him. I'm in the year 11 them times, so a couple of year 9s involved, witnessed it, year 10, my year, and like the 18, 19, 20-year-olds that would come to our school to lips up and pressed up teenagers. Crazy. I'm out of Southend Gates with my parkour friends. 3:30 p.m. Who's there? A girl named Eve, and Evie was there. She was pregnant at the time. A girl I've known from primary school was there also, and we're just all walking our way home, chilling it, at smiling, beaming, gassed. They tried to lie at first that someone sneaked me and told them where I live. They didn't want to come to where I live for obvious reasons. So probably his little brother snaked, or someone that knew me and had a problem with me snaked. Yeah, so like they were waiting somewhere in some bush, always a bush, as I came out of Twyford Avenue or Tether Down. I keep forgetting which one it is. I ain't been to flipping Musgrave in a while. At this point, I'm oblivious to them, waiting for the chance to pounce. Why for that? I'm not thinking he's even gonna pull up. I'm gassed off my diss. I'm gassed off whatever we were talking about coming out of South Wing. I'm gassed off like proving people wrong and being hated on and letting everyone around me know that like I think I'm so much better than them type of thing. But just gas, gas, gas. But then I've got a friend to my right. All of a sudden, the way I remember it is like a friend to my right is randomly sprinting off, and like looking back when it happened, it didn't really hit me until I felt someone grabbing me from the back, and I'm just thinking it's like some younger kid from school getting Larry and that in it. So like when I turned around and like the shock of like, wow, oh shit, like it's actually him. Like and like he's fuming, he's grabbing me up, and I remember thinking, "Rah, you're not that taller than me, like, but and you're 19 and I'm 16." Um, but for the most part, I'm thinking, "Fuck, he actually caught me," and like he's on a hype, and like kind of shocked, dragging me near a bush, and I'm trying to like escape, but there's the dude on the pedal bike circling around me in it, and like a next man on a moped roaming around, who left afterwards because he probably felt like, nah, this shit is pathetic. I'm a youth. Why am I wasting my time here? Like I'm a youth them times. Like I'm still like 16, underdeveloped, not going gym yet, nothing like proper Margaret Brock 16-year-old Cayman, you know. Um, anyway, a man starts talking to me, screaming like, "You're a dead man. I'm gonna juke you, bruv." Like what, in broad daylight around all of these kids and civilians watching? Come on, bruv. Like, um, speaking of which, one of them got involved. Yeah, one civilian got involved and stopped him while like an old lady or something. I remember it's like an old lady or something, while like my friends all shut themselves and ran off, and made so like um she made him let go of me, which was when I started running off to get the bus all the way home, and then obviously the bus didn't come in time. Pissed, he got me again with his friends, talking about, "You're gonna meet Paddy," and I'm thinking, who the fuck is Paddy, bro? This ain't. He's definitely not talking about no that McGuinness, bro. So Ni- Paddy Ryder, the man that was supposed to take me out, pun intended, I just ended up being some dude in a moped that's now doing life in prison. Good on him. Probably getting pressed out by spies heads. So yeah, they dragged me to like another part of Muzzle Hill that ain't too close to the school, basically. And then they get their cameras out, dish out some city slaps, and then run off, because at that point somebody called the police, and then they started running. So yeah, mind you, I told him to suck his mum, no scratch on me. Told him his music shit, no scratches. Turned two of his boys into converted fans during that whole clash. Well, not a clash because he didn't turn up, but like me sending for him, I turned two of his boys into converted fans, not a scratch. 20 seconds of slapping and hooting up and ganging up on a 16-year-old as big 19, 20-year-olds over a disc because you couldn't clash me. Very weak. I remember the power that like telling these people that I was from Grange had over them as rich kids who didn't live in the same conditions that I did, but had a point to prove. And it's like, I look back here and I think, yeah, like if I was as dark and brave if I was dark and brave enough to retaliate as I am now, I bet you I do the job better than you did. You know, being that I have more people, and I'm surrounded by more people that really do this. As for the friends that left, they were all talking about how they would have backed me or done something if it got real. Nigga, if it got real, you bitched up. Like I was the only person in my friendship group with that level of confidence and courage to even try and beef all this really and truly. And this is like as Morgan Norbit Carl, like do you know what I mean? So like anyway, what they came to do, they done it half-heartedly, because a lot of people around, it was a busy street, mind you. Thankfully for me, I went back home after they sped off, trying to avoid getting arrested, no calling police for my safety because I'm from a certain place and the street smart them times. I ain't dumb. No telling mom because this was minor, like really and truly, this was minor. They sourced it, but this was minor. Anyway, and as soon as I got home as well, I got on Facebook, posted a new profile picture on some like, yep, still here, still good. Turned off Facebook commenting so nobody could like post shit on my status, and anybody that talked about it in school, I just aired them. Um, I remember at around them times, like I was thinking about revenge, bro. I'm not gonna lie, like, and his little brother that um I used to run into quite frequently. But being that I was a man of principles as I am now, I figured, nah, but it's between me and him. It was supposed to be between me and him, not like him, a moped don and a pedal bike don, you know? Because like if I called on people from ends, and it was supposed to be lyrical too, but like if I could call on people from ends And when he did what he did, people from school were messaging me saying like, "Yo, like I know where his brother lives, in it. I know where his brother hangs around. We can do him something. I'm not. I'm the one that's glad that squashed anybody around me wanting to retaliate. You know, because if I get back at someone, there will be blood on my hands." And I'm thinking, nah, like family's gonna trip, this, that, and the third, whatever. Kudos to him. He did what he said he'd do half-heartedly. Doesn't get ratings off it from anyone. Why that video he put up that featured me getting jumped very quickly got deleted, I guess. Around the times when he was spewing his "you're gonna be paddy" bullshit, and I've had the chance to like calm down and analyze the whole situation. It's kind of like I started looking at it from a point of like mocking them and clowning them, like sliding on some like, what do you think any of this proves on some like you can't even do your job properly? You know, you're not really about this. You're just on intimidation tactics, nigga. Like, but fair enough. There's more of you than there is me, so I'll settle. Shaps wanted to try to make me think that he's capable of stabbing someone too. I don't look at you, mate, and think you're built like that. Mind you, once again, this was 16-year-old me who just loved to make music and thought he was better than everyone around him. That uh, what they went and did basically over a diss track, that could have sparked something in me to do a lot worse, and calling people rather a lot worse. Thankfully, I've had this thing of me of number one, long time thinking, and number two, not wanting to fuck up my future, but like, which is why I ended up winning in the end. The only what thing I hated looking back at the video was how broke I look at it, and the part where like somebody slapped my left cheek. But apart from that, not much else to be worried about, and you couldn't even do it one up. Anyway, like I said, 2 tunes out within the same week. Wale's running around telling people he made me quit, and the young 2012 instrumental EP promotion from Danny C to shut everybody's mouths up. And after that experience, the strategy was just let the work music-wise do the talking, let the work rate music and the talent do the talking, because I had all three. You know, hate aside, nobody could deny the talent I had. Nobody could deny the talent I had, which is why they wanted me out the picture. Then it's like I'm in school, and like girls in my year are like worried sick, talking about like white girls obviously, but like on some like, oh my god, I heard you got abducted. Bro, like I just took the loss and the cracked on from then on. And, like he tried to get me to delete the disc, but no, I didn't do that. I just privated it or unlisted it. He got rid of his video he had for like a track for a mixtape that I featured in when he realized no one cared, and it made him look pathetic. Because it's like, you've got that video up, but I've got tunes out and I've got beats out that people rate, you know, that are actually quality, and like man from my school that are on road or on badness want to do something. So it's like, of all of the things that you're doing are going to lead to you making your own life unlivable. But yeah, looking back, you know, absolutely nothing compared to other times where I've been caught slipping. Absolutely nothing that was gonna make me quit. Like he claimed he made me quit. You tried to get a stripe of me to beef up your street cred and worsen your street cred. The best thing a man should have done was just clash me, and I would have won. Lyrically, from the time you went out of your way to get me, because of the things that I said were too much, I already know that I won from there. That and them man having to lie about like the impact they think or wish they had on me, post their little 1 minute 30-second ambush. Anyway, we spoke again 2018 times when both me and my brother were on darkness, coming out of crazy situations and ready for anything, basically, like on minds, like. And I made it clear to him, I made it clear to Mr. Shaps that if that video isn't completely gone, that's his life done. Zero respect or beating around the bush, because at that time in my life, my bro, it was like, I'm fully on the street thing now. So like 23, 26 years old, I stopped caring about everything and everyone. And it was like, my mindset was gutter. Like anyone tries me, I'm sitting on them, and I'm around people that can make it very easy for me to remove you from this earth. Like no batter than the eyelid, no hype, nothing. And it made me wish, like from that moment on, where like I turned 17, it made me realize, like, fuck it now. And because obviously, like, the betrayal from even school friends on some, like, I was on this thing of like, fuck everyone. It's just the ends I'm fucking with now. Now it's just the ends, and now I'm finna show you how dark it can really get. You know, like 2018 times. If Giannis wanted to run up to Shaps and do him something, I had to stop it every single time. Like, I'll be real, like, I avoid beef more time, because beef to me is like a last resort thing, always. And if I'm ever to beef someone, it's not like, it won't just be a punch up. A beef niggas to delete niggas, you know? So like, when a certain family member, when a certain family member thought they could do 2013 shit to me as a grown 22-year-old, I had to show to them that, calmly, like, yo, what I was prepared to do to them if they don't find a way to settle themselves, all of a sudden, then the whole perception of me changes, you know? But yeah, Shaps ended up blocking me on those socials, and I think that's where that ended up, and I never heard from him again. And don't want to, no bad blood, no rekindling anything. I just had to say my piece regarding that. I've never been a prick. And regardless of what the perception was back then, I'm glad I didn't compromise my future listening to the wrong people. The times when I could have gotten revenge and didn't is exactly why I have blessings in my life. Today, a power move misunderstood to many of my peers, though they see me winning. But with me, from 23 onwards, due to experiences that I had as a teenager, I'm a man that takes somebody that tells me they want smoking me very seriously. I know what that means. I'm older now and I've lived in the real world. I see beyond ego, verbal mind games, and I'm just at a point where it's like, we can skip all of that and get straight to it, if that's what it is. Just directly, without wasting time or venting. I think most people don't really want beef. I clock it. Like, most people just want to vent or face their fears. If a man puts me as a 30-year-old in a situation where I have to drop everything that I'm doing to go and get them, I will make sure that they don't come out of that situation the same. I'll make sure that their worldview and the way they experience life is no longer like why I don't beef often, like I said, and try to squash as much as many altercations as I can. I want blessings in my life for the most part. Furthermore, unlike him, any fuckeries that I could have ever been on back in the day, because before I managed to turn my life around for the second time in the second decade, would not have been for me to post on the internet like some div. We don't come from that. I'm an old school cat at heart. I'm not with this whole like exposing and beefing and posting shit online. Social media is not real, you know? What I can do to you or get others to do to you in real life is very much so. But that aside, I'm on a righteous path. Like I said, that allows me to be the best version of myself that I love the most, avoiding the vicious cycle of living by it and dying by it. Wink, wink. I've been thumped up by man, I've thumped up man. You know, anyone can go. I'm more impressed by anybody that can create a better life for themselves outside of mindless violence, senseless violence. There's a lot more to it than that. Like, even verbally, physically, it feels good to grow out of that kind of dumbness. And I'm glad I got the experience young to know that I'm never trying to entertain or be a part of nonsense like that ever again. Anyway, it's been a pleasure. Cayman. Gone.